Hello, and welcome to our stream of a girl, a guy, and a movie. Tonight, we will be discussing Boondock Saints, a 1999 cult hit and classic. My name is Bruce, and with me is ever the lovely Janet from another planet as Sally McBride.
Thank you for having me tonight.
There's no other choice. I have to have you. you're,
I'm a reporter, so I'll have to have my microphone talking to it because I'm reporting.
That's a sweet microphone. I mean, that almost looks like you got it out of the EIB network store. I
You
like
sing
it.
with it. Karaoke. It's for karaoke at home.
Oh, Jedi Bill will love you.
It's fun.
Appreciate all the well wishes and everything from everybody. We've had a turnaround on a lot of things in both of our lives here as of late. I'll show you guys the same thing I showed Janet, and this is this is last week. No, hold on. There we go. Friday night, foot swelled up at the clinic. This is my left foot. This is normal foot. This is my right foot. Okay, this thing's got cellulitis in it. I didn't realize that. So starting to take pills. By Saturday, the swelling's going down a bit. You can see a little bit of definition.
Yeah, I can see your toe line now.
Yeah.
Just a big ankle.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to laugh at you, but wow. I can't believe that you let it stay so bad for so long.
Well, I didn't realize it was in that bad of shape, but that's what we're dealing with on my end. You've had your own trials on your own end, and everybody's
but
had
it's getting better.
Yes.
My end's getting better. Things are I can't really talk about it yet until after the sentencing stuff.
Yeah.
But right now I'm happy about it.
Flatey apologizes for not being well enough for last night, and it's quite okay, sir. Your sleep is completely understandable. You need to be selfish about your sleep and your rest. As we get older, rest is the thing that helps us repair our bodies and allows us to do things properly the next day.
Mm-hmm.
I think my lack of rest is what helped aggravate my leg, because I had a bunch of bites in my ant, from ants at my job, and that just sort of happens. She's not a science teacher. She's a reporter.
See? I'm a reporter for Channel 22.
No simping, honestly.
These guys over here, we're looking for them. They're on the lookout for these three guys.
And our friend, the Talkin Gamer, joins us. I forgot one of the most important people in our road crew, Jackie Blue. Lovely individual that she is. Hey, Jackie. She's here. Oh, she might not be. She might be like finishing up supper and getting kiddo to bed. But anyway, Captain Gamer, hello. I don't like cankles. I have cankles.
Yeah. No, it's getting better now. It's not as bad as it was. It's a lot better. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Flatey, the day that she dresses up in a yellow jumpsuit is the day that Janet gets marriage proposals.
Orange
it'll be
jumpsuit.
over. It'll be like triple digit. You'll just trust me. Okay, are you familiar with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Oh yeah, that one. I thought it was from another one of these movies or something, because I haven't got to see the second one of this.
Janet, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies are pretty okay, but a lot of us have fond memories of her from the cartoons and from updated cartoons. Really good. The cartoons were amazing, I thought, even though they weren't as good as the comics. The comics were more adult oriented. You dress up in a yellow jumpsuit and you do a show with me on TMNT. We're gonna see you get like there.
We'll do the cartoon. Maybe we'll do one of them. That'd be fun.
Yeah, Cowabunga.
I had my name underneath my name. It shows you the name of the this lady, Sally McBride. Remember?
Okay. Yep.
The reporter. It was either her or one of the two prostitutes whose cat got killed.
She's not a prostitute. She just makes other men feel good.
Yeah.
She's a whore.
9 men on the way to the store.
I can't go anywhere without seeing 9 men you fucked.
That's right. So I'd say she's a prostitute. At least that one. And the other one had a cat that got murdered. So got blown up.
We're 5
so
minutes
I figured
in.
I'd be the reporter.
Might as well drop
She
the
didn't
F-bomb. By the way, this movie has a 200. I'm looking for the F-bomb count in this film, and this movie's crazy with its F-bomb count. It's
it William Dafoe that said most of them?
William Dafoe and David Del Rocco. The word fuck and its derivatives are used a total of 246 times.
Yeah.
I think I need to present that. I'm not making this shit up. This movie is like the movie version of Deadwood.
Instead of counting how many bullets went off, like in John Wick, you're saying how many times someone said the word fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah. So anyway, that right there, that made me really happy. I shouldn't have been so happy about that, but when I watched this movie and I realized just how much that goes on, like, okay, that's kind of a record. I don't think it's the most, but for a quality movie, it's pretty much a lot. How many times have you seen this movie, Janet?
Twice.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen it that much. This is like my 5th viewing.
I totally forgot that William Dafoe dressed up in a dress until, you guys couldn't hear me because my stuff was all messed up. But I was laughing my ass off because I forgot how freaking phenomenal that scene was. That's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. That was great, especially when, because I was like, that's one hideous woman, and a guy is fawning over someone that looks that bad. Why is it so hard for women like me to find somebody? You know what I mean? So it's like, wow, I was just really blown away. But his nails were really pretty. So whoever, they did him all up, man.
They did him up to the nth degree.
Yeah, he had nails and everything. I mean, down to the pantyhose. Because when he was laying on the ground, you could see his boxer shorts or his briefs underneath his black hose. I just thought it was freaking great. And the tantrum he threw over the whole blood and the ammonia and stuff, and then I just thought he did great. It was a phenomenal job that he did. He did do awesome for his character. Yeah. And then him laying back on that one chair, the lounger in the sex parlor, and he's playing with that what is that called again? The feather boa.
The feather boa. Oh my God.
Probably imagining him using it, I just thought it was great. I just thought he was freaking awesome. I just loved him in this movie. He outacted everybody for sure.
Yeah, William Dafoe is probably the class act of the movie. Although I would say the 1-2 punch of you get William Dafoe and Billy Connolly in the same film. I really wish they had worked more together. Mm-hmm. And I might be wrong, but I do remember watching the director's commentary track on the DVD about 10 years ago, and William Dafoe admitted to Troy Duffy that he was gay. And I might be wrong on that, but I could have sworn that I heard that. And that doesn't bring any new nuance to me whatsoever.
I don't think he was gay. And you talking about in real life?
In real life, I think
he might be bisexual, but I don't think he's just like men.
Whatever. I mean, it doesn't really change my opinion of him too much. He's an actor. He does pretty good as an actor.
No, I'm not. It doesn't change me either. I'm just trying to be factual.
Okay.
I could have swore I've seen stories and stuff like that with him with women.
I'm getting this guy dried up on his base right now. For those of you that like my Saturday game where I torture my high level group, This will be making an appearance. For those of you that are not in the know, this is our good friend Hungar the Starvarian as a huge character. Anyway.
Well, I was really surprised how young Norman Reedus was.
Yeah. I didn't think he was that young. He looks, no offense to Norman Reedus, but like he's not aging well. He looks like he's, had some trials.
This and drinking ages you. Smoking and drinking will age you really, really quickly. And most people that I know of that have gotten the special shot, they've aged a lot in the last 5 years, too. 4 or 5 years.
I would laugh so hard if we got a microscopic blow up or zoom in of the shot, and there's just like a bunch of little fucking Fauci's in you running around. Okay, what can we fuck up next? Let's go for the respiratory.
There's no telling what's in it. I mean, unless someone can actually get the stuff and take it. I can't believe someone hasn't done that yet. Gotten a couple vials and tested the different ones, the different lots, find out what's in them.
We're taking this overseas to a non-disclosed location so we can examine it thoroughly.
Bone said, did you see what Bone wrote? Oh, yeah, you got it. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that was
just Google
funny.
it. He's not gay. I could have sworn that's on the commentary track, but I'm like,
no,
that type of revelation is bigger than what that would be listed on like an IMDb page. Like they'd have sparkles during Pride Month. Like, oh, kids, William Dafoe's gay. Be like William Dafoe.
No, him laying there in the bed with the Asian man laying his head on his stomach, and he's like rubbing on him and being all cuddly while he's on the phone, and then you can see him slapping him and pushing him out of the way and stuff, and then he keeps coming back for more torture or whatever, and then when he's done, he's like, quit being such a fag.
What are you, some sort of faggot?
Yeah, he was hilarious. But just little things like that. See, they wouldn't make that movie now. They wouldn't let him do that in a movie, even though he was playing a gay character. And he dressed in drag and everything. They still would not let him say certain words that he used in this movie.
Oh no, all those words.
Even in the bar scene that was bought, the bar that they used, they purchased it to use it. Harvey Weinstein purchased it.
The bar that he purchased was actually Jay Sloan's, I thought.
No, I'm saying who paid for it.
Oh yeah, that's Weinstein purchase.
Weinstein bought it, but. The scene where he's in the gay bar, because I'm sure they used the same bar. They just redecorated, moved things around a little bit and shot different angles to make it look like a different place because it looked cleaner. Did you notice that how much cleaner and sharp and new the gay bar was compared to the one where everybody had just hung out and had fights and stuff? So a manly bar is nasty and dirty. And gay bars all clean and whatever, all fixed up. But him sitting there turning around with his legs like like all macho. He was sitting there looking away from the bar and doing the shots, Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I just got a kick out of him. I thought he was great. He is definitely not afraid of being a man or playing a gay man because he feels very manly already.
He's one of the best actors in Hollywood, in my opinion.
Yeah, he is so talented. He's just good at what he does. You could tell he does everything he can to portray the character that he's acting. He's going to be that person for this amount of time. And, whoever he was with, I bet he would go home and it would be a lot of fun. Because I remember an interview with Hugh Jackman for when he was in the movie Swordfish. And his wife was talking about it, that he would call her and said, we're almost done. She'd say, leave the tattoos on when you come home, stuff like that. So he said it was good for his love life. But, for fun, playful fun, there's nothing wrong with that. To, dress up, act like somebody like Zorro or bullfighter or whatever, it's nothing wrong with that. Anything that's fun that you can take home to make things more exciting, you should do it. I think you should try it. Why not? But yeah, this movie was kick butt from the moment it started. Now, it was kind of hard to follow the way they kept started out the scene and then they drop out and then it would start
non-linear storytelling. kind of ruins the movie for me, but I'll get into that later.
But that was hard for me. That kind of took you away from the scene instead of now, if it had been me, what I would have done was done the action scene, like the very first one when they find the bodies on the ground out in front of the apartment complex. They did that. You see the bodies and stuff, and then you see what happened to the men, right? But later on, when they did a couple of the things, they showed you the two guys talking about it, and then they did a flashback into what they did. And to me, that it was kind of a jerky the way they jerked it around. I mean, I just that took me away from what you were already involved in thinking, and then they took you out of it and put you into another scene, and it kind of took me out of it. But that's the scene where they came in to take Rita's out. Okay, the two big guys in his pants are all burned out. That one. And they handcuffed Flannery to the toilet. Oh man, that was intense. I forgot how I was just going. You're rooting because you want him to hurry and get out of there before something happens to him, even though you know he doesn't die if you've already seen it, right? But I'm watching and I'm holding, thinking, oh my gosh, if he doesn't hurry, they're gonna kill his brother, all that stuff. But I just thought that was a very good scene. It was very intense and exciting. I mean, I really liked it. I thought it was really, really good. And to me, all the blood, the way that they did the gunshots, the scene where they fell out of the ceiling and did the circular thing with the guns, man, that was freaking cool. Did you like that scene?
They do some really good camera effects in and out of camera. The bullet time, the splattering. I did like that, but the nonlinear storytelling is something that I'm not a super fan of. I didn't like it with Memento. I didn't like it with Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs. And this movie here, that like if Bruce has a chance to like get a movie editor, or if like everything's broken up into chapters to where you can fast forward and put things together chronologically yourself and then home edit your playlist of how the movie progresses, I'm pretty okay with that. Like I would be super happy with that, but that's not a thing yet. In most movies, I think Pulp Fiction might have had that ability, but I haven't watched that movie on DVD for over 20 years, and I think I sold it.
I don't remember Pulp Fiction being so jerky. I don't mean jumping around their camera. I'm talking about like jerking you out of another scene and putting you in another one, like that.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
It didn't sway into it, like a flash or a page flipping.
Yes.
Sometimes you see a scene and all of a sudden everybody turns and you're in the scene again, but it's different. That type of editing, I think, would have been way better. It just seemed like you were, I don't know, it was like a cheap, okay, years ago when they had I guess VHS tapes, that's what I'm thinking about. You remember, and when they'd edit it and it'd say you took the edited tape that they had taken the commercials out of, and you see it go to black, or it just would stop and all of a sudden the commercial's on there. Well, now it stops and all of a sudden they're standing somewhere else and talking. It's like really bad editing for that whole thing. And that's, to me, what I got from it. To me, it seemed like the whole movie had bad editing, jumping from one scene to the next when they did those things, except for the one where he jumps off the roof onto the guy with the toilet. That one was the one that I didn't feel like I got jerked out of one into another. That was the only one. The rest of them, it felt like they were taking you away, or they cut it off and then started it right in the other thing or something. I didn't like that. And they basically made William Dafoe into what was that disease that Rain Man had?
Oh.
Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember it. And I'm sorry.
I can't remember right now either. It just if the chat knows, it'd be great if you tell us. But it seemed like they were pushing William Dafoe's character to be such a
Asperger's or Asperger's or Are you talking about Asperger's or are you talking about Tourette's?
Not either one. It was in the movie Rain Man, when he went to get his brother had this thing where he could do all the numbers, remember? And count all the cards and know exactly what you probably get in your next
autistic savant.
Yeah, a savant. That's what I kept popping in my head, was that he was a savant when it came to figuring out a scene. When he walks in, he can see it and pretty much tell you exactly how everything happened in the room. Okay, because there are people that can do all these things. So you just don't meet them very often, but there are people. And in one aspect or two aspects in their life, they're a genius level when it comes to these certain things that they're, connected on. Like it's either playing the violin or writing sheet music. It can be 2 or 3 things, that kind of thing. To me, it seemed like William Dafoe's character was like a savant when it came to walking in, because when he's walking through the whole thing with the porn area, the round room with the chiffon curtains and the pink, I love that. That was beautiful, the way they had that set up. And the money would go into the slot, and he'd show you the money going in the slot and how the thing would rise up, and you could see the girl doing whatever it is that you asked her to do for how much money you gave her. And when he was walking around saying there's this many bullets and that, what's funny is they didn't show you exactly how quickly, because it seemed like it just happened, and he goes there and he already knows that there's 2 different kinds of bullets here and 2 different kinds of bullets there, and then another bullet used over there and another one used over there. So it was 4 guns, basically. Okay. And so how did he know that? The ballistics didn't look at it. I mean, they were still at the crime scene, just things like that made it a little bit over the top for me for figuring it out. But the action and the characters didn't make me dwell on it, even though it was a little far-fetched or whatever. But him explaining everything, and then he said, why was there 2 bullets on each side that were from the other gun? Because that guy was killed with this and this guy was killed with that. And then at the end, when he takes his arms and he goes like that, like that, kind of showing you the sloppy guy that wasn't very good at killing was the one that did the crossovers with his arms and shooting the 2 bad porn lovers or whatever he was calling them. I can't remember exactly what he called them. But isn't that one of the rooms where Ron Jeremy was at?
Yeah, I think he was in one of the private booth.
Yeah, he was the private one that paid.
He wasn't really a cameo character though, because he actually had lines. He actually was one of the Mafia Don's guys, and he got to be there when Rocco told the joke that it'll get you banned off YouTube if you repeat it. Oh well. It's still a funny joke. I don't give a fuck. It's still a funny joke.
But the thing is that I was like, that looked like Ron Jeremy when I saw it. And I couldn't remember all the people's names or anything, but it did look like it. He was one ugly guy. He made a lot of money. Did he really make a lot of money in porn?
He's made money in porn, yeah, but he's made more money out of porn than in porn.
He is not attractive. He is not attractive to me in any way whatsoever.
Well,
so I hope they paid those women really good money.
He doesn't have to be attractive. He just has to have a big dick, and that's why he's in porn.
Well,
he got discovered because he was at a public urinal. He was at a public pisser, Janet. He whips his dick out and is pissing in a public urinal, and some guy next to him just looks over and is like, wow, nice dick. I think I have a job for you. And that's about it.
Yes. You're kidding. You're joking.
No.
For real? That's how he got hired? Somebody else in the men's room saw his dick. That's terrible. So what's I wonder how they hire women for porn then? They take close-ups of their vag or what? They go to the gynecologist.
Most time you just throw in a hot tape and that's about it.
I don't know. It's just ridiculous, but I don't know. I've only seen 2 porn my whole life, so.
And
I laughed through both of them. One of them was called, I don't know. I can't remember the name of it now. Rambone. Yeah, Rambone. It was an old movie that somebody had.
Marcus Ram?
No, it was called Rambone. It was a spoof off of Rambo. So that was one of them. And the other one, I can't remember the name of it. She had found it, and we were watching it, and it ended up being gay porn. So we turned it off, but it was funny.
Okay. They tell you on IMDb, don't confuse him with the similar looking mustachioed 70s, 80s adult film star Harry Reams, who's retired from the adult industry. Portly Ron is not blessed with film star looks and a chiseled six-pack. A decidedly unchiseled 12 or 18-pack would be more like it. His appeal and talents lie in other areas, which happen to be in his long member measuring nearly 10 inches erect and his regular Joe appearance.
You die.
You've already said the important part. The women need to be paid well to take that. That's abuse.
Well, that could kill somebody and put them in the hospital.
So the amazing endurance in front of the camera has contributed to the phenomenal success in the industry, notorious for dumping those men who cannot perform on cue. So many dudes have killed themselves because they are failed porn stars. Okay, if you ever go down that nasty road on the internet to look at failed porn stars, you're going to see a bunch of guys that either died from depression or gunshot wounds, and this man is not it. Now, he's also one of the few stars to make the jump into mainstream cinema with minor appearances like Reindeer Games, Detroit Rock City, and Boondock Saints. He was born in 1953 in NYC and graduated from Cardozo High School in Queens. So his girlfriend sent a photo off to Playgirl magazine for an appearance in its Boy Next Door pages. Ron was deluged with female fan mail and letters of interest from adult filmmakers. That's how it really happened, I think. That's part of the situation.
So he had a girlfriend then. That's good.
Okay, Janet, a woman will take a loss in the looks department to get a win in the getting dick department, okay? I don't know a woman that is getting good dick that gives a shit about what her husband looks like. She wants the good dick.
Yeah, but if somebody dropped their drawers in front of me and it was 10 inches, I would get up and leave because I don't want to end up in the hospital. Honestly, I just don't think I can do. I don't think I can do that.
Okay. I mean, that is a game for the young. I will say that much.
If they got good hands, I think I can handle it. If there isn't a bunch in there in the other department, the hands could make up for it. There's no way I do. That's just too much. I don't. It would scare me. I don't want a trunk. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, but no, that scares me. Honestly.
I mean, I'm just saying the guy's famous for a lot of reasons. He stayed famous because he can remain relevant.
Apparently, but I never saw any of his movies.
Mac, I know this sounds really bad. I need to say thank you to Mr. Mac Thompson right now.
Oh, sorry. We're talking about Ron Jeremy. I thought he was a cameo. I forgot that he was talked in this movie, but I just remember him dying in it, and I was like, God, that guy looks like Ron Jeremy. But I'd never seen any of his movies. So, beautiful.
This is what Mac sent me, and I thank him so much. I opened this up on Saturday, the open stream up on Saturday about that, and. We go from talking about Ron Jeremy to thank you for this lovely rosary.
I know. I feel terrible now. Oh.
I don't. I'm going to transition us to the Lutheran church that was so polite to let the Boondock Saints film there. That's
because the Catholic Church said, hell no, you can't film that stuff here.
Yeah, the Catholic Church wouldn't let them film Boondock Saints there. So this Lutheran church, the Church of the Covenant, says, yes, we would love it if you filmed here. And they have that styrofoam Jesus, which is not part of the church, but they needed it to look like a Catholic church. So they built a styrofoam Jesus, and a wonderful painter came in and made it look like aged wood. That man, I hope he lives a long time and has a lot of grandkids, because that was an awesome, awesome crucifixion on wood, which was actually styrofoam.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, I don't know. It was hard for me too to believe that without any story in the beginning, that these guys were doing this totally for religious purposes. Remember in the Blues Brothers, okay, when they went to see the Penguin, okay, and she told them they were about to close the place because they couldn't pay the taxes, right? So when they were going places, they'd say, "We're on a mission from God." Remember? Okay,
Yes.
they had a purpose for all the crimes they did, and singing, going from one place to the other, trying to collect money so they'd have enough to pay for uh, the orphanage to help keep it open. But this movie doesn't really show you that their dad's gone. They're
Yeah.
living in a real big dump. It's like a broken down YMCA or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're living in the showers or whatever. They didn't give you a story about it. So when they do their first killing, it ends up being self-defense, which we saw, so we understood that. And the William Dafoe's character, supposedly, even though he's the FBI, lets him off with a crime that really wasn't an international crime or anything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's two thugs trying to kill him. So to me, I don't know why he was involved in that in the first place, but I guess because they were Russians or whatever, that's why they brought him in there. But then after that, when they get all the weapons and stuff, I mean, it's like they decide to start becoming like, none of that made sense to me, that part of it. The fact they were doing it was cool. I mean, like, what was the name of that movie with Pierce Bronson? Not Pierce Bronson, the other Bronson guy. And he was getting revenge for murdering his wife and raping his daughter.
Oh, you're talking about the Death Wish films with Charlie Bronson, the greatest quintuplet of movies ever.
But that movie, you saw what happened to his family. So when he's out killing all these thugs, you're like rooting them on. You want him to win, right? This movie, you see two guys in church, and they just walk through the church and do whatever they want and have no manners or whatever, right? This basically interrupts this church for everybody else, and then they all of a sudden go on this rampage where they're going to start killing people for God, to save their city. I don't know, they rushed into it too much for me when it came to the actual story about why they decided to start doing that. If they had a story about what happened to their mother and their dad was gone or something like that, that would have been a little different. But what story did you feel what they were doing it for, and why? Just because their friends said, "Hey, you guys should be doing this in every city"?
We're going to get into that. That's a discussion that we need to get into. That opening bit in the church, as the priest is talking about the most evil thing in our world that is going on right now, is the acceptance of evil deeds and the continuation and perpetuation of those evil deeds, and the good people do nothing. The good people do nothing but allow it to continue because they feel that somebody else will take up the mantle and help stop these evil deeds. And there's an actual case that happened. It was in the 1960s. This lady was discussed. They discussed this, and it's Kitty Genovese, possibly of the same Genovese family that owns the brew house in Rochester, Dundee, New York. She was raped and murdered by a serial rapist in 1964 outside her house in Queens. Now, the time of this, it is not broad daylight like the priest says. It is actually at like 1 or 2 a.m. when all this is going on. And by the time the emergency gets there, the EMS gets there, like 4 or 5 in the morning, she's dead.
Yeah.
And bystanders and witnesses did nothing to help her because, like, there's not many walking around, but those that are around still didn't do much to help her, but just like try to call the cops and we'll be done with it. That was debunked and wholly based on discredited article by the New York Times, and they admitted in 2016 that witnesses and what they thought were witnesses, that was exaggerated. And the priest errs. He screws up and states the attack happened in broad daylight. It's actually around early morning hours. So the 911 system doesn't even exist. So they had to call like the police and ambulance services separately. This is in 1964. Okay. And this is called the Genovese syndrome. That's the Genovese syndrome is whenever You have an incident going on in broad daylight and nothing's going on to cease it. That is an actual situation that has an actual diagnosis. So, I mean, it's exactly think times like that made the Dirty Harry and the Death Wish movies, the rise of the vigilante films and the rise of the everyman as a vigilante. That all happened because of all these terrible things happening in the big cities.
Yeah, I can believe that. People
So
are sick of it. I mean,
and
we're there right now.
we're
That just
we're
shows
back
you that
at it.
nothing's gotten better.
No. We had our time of happiness in the sun, and Rudy Giuliani deserves to be able to be retired now. I love that man. I don't care what two female lawyers that were defending Trump at the time, but now that the money's gone, they can just like call for like, hey, don't trample me too much, but here's why we were defending Trump, and here's what was going on. Rudy is still staying true to what happened, and he's still stating facts. And the thing is, that guy is aging to the point where he's deserving to be in a retirement lawn chair with a tropical shirt and a Jimmy Buffett in the background. He deserves to be a parrot head himself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not making allusions to parrot head should retire. Parrot head, you're a young man. Keep doing what you're doing. But Parrot Head is a typical Jimmy Buffett fan where, they've got a cheeseburger in paradise. They're retired. They're enjoying themselves, listening to good music on a beach somewhere, toes in the sand. And I really think that what we have right now is we've returned back to the situation that will foster a bunch of vigilante action. I didn't really want to say that in the first 35, 38 minutes of our show, but I think this movie planted the seed 20 years ago.
Yeah, and that's why they said that production companies are the ones that put the movie out, and distributed it out, didn't want to because of Columbine. Okay, because they were worried that it was going to get more people to go out and want to do some of these stupid things and kill people at random or whatever. Instead of thinking, well, they might want to be vigilantes, they think the opposite. The same people that think they hate vigilantes. We don't want you taking the law into your own hands. It doesn't matter whether those people killed hundreds of people or not. We'd rather them be on the street killing people until we have time to get them. See, that's their point of view, and they don't want you doing their job, basically. But I was reading this. It said in the mid-90s, Troy Duffy was a bouncer bartender living in Los Angeles, playing gigs with his rock band when he could. Mm-hmm. He had never written anything before coming to L.A., but that all changed when, according to Duffy, he saw a drug dealer taking money off a deceased individual. He said, in the slight of this sleazy act propelled Duffy into writing a screenplay, which would eventually become the Boondock Saints. So he was just fed up, just like all of us. All of us start to see enough bullshit. We get tired of it. And we're like, I wish that we could do this. Or like you be driving down the road. It's like road rage. You're driving down the road and some jerk cuts you off and all you want to do is just ram them. And if you had a tank, you'd say, damn, I wish I was in a tank or I was in my old car or my truck. I'd just run them over, because that's what we all think. Because we all get tired of being pushed around, shoved down, stuff taken from us, or that guy's dog keeps shitting in my yard. We all have all these terrible things that happen, or that guy keeps stealing my newspaper, and you just want to get revenge. I mean, that is a basic human feeling. You get tired of feeling like you're being used or abused. So you want to get even. I mean, that's just a human trait. I don't see that really as a, terrible thing because, we're all human. We're all going to make mistakes and we don't think it's fair that some of us have to follow the rules and others don't. Why is that? Why is it some people don't have to follow the rules? They can do whatever they want. And we're seeing that now, and people can walk into a store and steal $900 worth of stuff and leave while you're standing there in line with your two things in your basket. So
I can barely afford those two things,
Yeah, I know, but you're expected to pay because you're not a criminal. But the criminals can just walk all over you, and who gives a shit? We'll take care of it later. Or
It,
that's why we have insurance
I
in the store.
I love what I'm seeing now down here,
Mhm.
because you have people in San Antonio that are not allowing the shoplifting go on.
Good. But that's what I said. You and me, and people like us and people in the chat are the only way that this is all going to stop. Is when we get fed up and we decide, screw them. We're going to start taking back our neighborhoods, and we're not going to let them do this shit. And remember, they tried to stop it with what happened with it. Was it Trayvon Martin when it had the
Trayvon. He's
neighborhood?
Trayvon now. He used to be Trayvon.
Well, remember they were trying to do the neighborhood watch stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So with neighborhood watch, somebody died. Now I don't know for sure everything about exactly what happened, but people die when you're out doing dumb stuff. Whether it was on purpose or not. People. You pull a gun, if it's plastic or not. A person who feels threatened because you have a gun in their face are going to try to defend themselves, and the person that tried to defend themselves had a real weapon. Like that one old guy at the gas station. I don't remember what he pulled out a gun or something and defended himself, and the guy died that tried to attack him and rob him. So, that's the risk you take if you're a criminal, trying to take things from others. And we're going to try to defend ourselves because this, we think we're going to die. And a lot of people do a lot more things that they wouldn't normally do on a regular basis if they think they're about to croak. You know what I mean? Or that you're about to hurt their family or loved ones.
Yeah.
So
you ever want to see the measure of a man? Watch somebody threaten their child.
mm-hmm.
Watch what happens.
Or their mother. Or their sister. Any of those things. When you love someone, you out of instinct, you would jump in front of them. Or like you're driving down the car and you see something and you see it, but the person sitting in the other seat doesn't see it because they're not looking, because they're not driving, and you put your arm up to stop them from flying forward, right? It's a natural instinct that you don't even think you even have, but it kicks in because you care. See, that's the difference. You care about that person and you care about other people's lives. Remember that crash into the Potomac River, I think it was? It was ice real bad, and those people were all drowning, and they were all floating and swimming in place, and their eyes were frozen open, and they were all dying, and nobody would jump in the water because they were waiting for the right people to come with the right suits and everything. And this guy saw this woman, and they were throwing this loop out there, and she was trying to grab it, but she was frozen. She couldn't grab. She couldn't do anything, and she was going under, and this guy just jumped in. He just jumped in the water with him. And I unplugged my light. Sorry, I have to plug it back in.
Toxic masculinity is what that is.
Yeah, but the thing is, he risked his life and went into 0-degree water to save a total stranger. Okay, because that's the kind of person he was. He was a hero mentality or whatever it was. He could not see this woman die. And boy, they weren't very happy about it because it made the police and the firemen and everybody else look bad because, he saved someone and they didn't. Sorry.
First off, the police are not there to protect you. They might say serve and protect on the side of the squad car, but it's actually been put to the test in a court of law, and the police don't have to protect your ass. You have to be accountable for yourself. So treat it as such. And I know it sounds bad, but the police are not there to protect you.
Mm-mm.
In
Not
America,
anymore.
not anymore.
Mm-mm.
So if you feel like your life is in danger, you need to be an adult about it and take the steps to properly prepare yourself.
I mean, even when you take a class, like I've taken a couple of classes on how to protect myself. They show you the proper way to hold your weapon and how to scope where you're going before you go. Like when you're approaching your car and the car on the other side beside yours, before you open it, look under the cars before you walk up to them. Before you open the door, look into your vehicle in the back seat and stuff to see if someone's in there so that when you do get in, they don't grab you by the throat, things like that. But it takes time. It's not something you just pick up. It's something you have to do anything for like 2 weeks, every day for 2 weeks before it starts to become a habit.
Mhm.
So, and that was another thing I thought was impressive with this movie, or was the characters for the two brothers, was how skilled they were with all these different weapons.
I want to talk about that real quick.
Okay. That was one thing I just wanted to bring, because it's really hard to learn how to even have one weapon, let alone
okay, this is all Hollywood. And secondly, I don't think they spend a lot of money with these guys at the range showing them proper how to handle a weapon, because there's a lot of parts of this movie where my safety man, the guy that gets paid at my current job to watch accident videos and bring things up for safety videos, I'm watching guys in their trigger discipline, they stick their fucking booger picker in the fucking trigger when they're carrying the fucking gun around. I don't care if you got the safety on. Take that shit out, lay it on the fucking barrel next to it.
Mm-hmm.
You want to fucking not have an accident? There's a reason why gunner's mates in the United States Navy have the highest rates of accidents, and that's because they're fucking idiots. And I hate to say that, but if you cause yourself an injury, you're a fucking idiot. You're responsible for yourself. Okay? You cannot mishandle a weapon. There's too many times where people are fucking around, and they might not think they're fucking around, but that shotgun goes off and it shaves off 3 pounds of the side of their skull because they're a fucking idiot. What happened? Well, the barrel was laying on my shoulder like this, and then the next thing I know, I lose my ear and most of my fucking right hemisphere in my face and skull. You're an idiot. Always treat every weapon like it's loaded and safety's off. This movie, as much as I love it for being a good vigilante film, it's a good vigilante film. It's not Charles Bronson quality. I love it. I do.
Yeah, it's not even. I mean, it did have a lot of weapons in it, especially when they went in that one room or whatever that was gated off. It was screened in, and they just started loading up their bags, with all these expensive bullets and little bombs or whatever else, the stuff that they were grabbing, different guns and everything for this one thing. How did they pay for all of it?
You saw the money they gave up. You saw that they were giving up money and a little bit of precious metals there, but I don't think that was enough to get the fucking keys.
That might have paid for 2 guns and some ammo or something.
Yeah.
It didn't look like it was enough to buy the bags full.
All of it, not in $1999.
Yeah. There was just little discrepancies like that here and there. Now, the first time I said, fuck yeah, I was just thought the movie was great. I was just into it because they were kicking ass and taking names, and it was really well done. I mean, the squibs and everything, they went off, and the people, getting shot and blown away, and there's blood all the way up above your head. When William Dafoe's walking on the top of the couch in the round circle room, I love that room. I would love to go in there and get some pictures made and stuff. That set, I thought that was.
We'll get awesome. 2 photographs of that for the Janet from Another Planet calendar for our thirsty friends.
I would love to have that. I would do some pictures in there, posing on that couch and stuff for my fans or whatever. That would be fun. But that was one thing I really liked. But you saw Willem Dafoe walking along the top, right? He's walking all over the whatever, without any covers on his shoes or anything for forensics and stuff. And there's blood all the way up on the wall as tall as him. So I was trying to picture how they did that. But from the shots that I saw when they dropped down from the ceiling, I just still don't see how blood got that high up on the walls and stuff. But and then when they looked through the keyhole, we knew who that was. So the fact that they treated him so terribly when they dragged his ass in there as the bellhop guy, I thought that was kind of mean. So I didn't understand. That was one thing I didn't understand. You think they'd pull him in and say, "What the fuck are you doing?" And that's all the bullets you have, this kind of stuff. Then talk to him. But I don't know. I just thought that was I didn't understand what was going on in that scene. It took me a little bit to grasp the situation or whatever, but I don't know, but I still thought it was really, really good. It's better than a lot of movies I've watched. So
yeah, This movie is a lot better than movies we've watched recently too.
Oh, and the other thing is the guy with Tourette's.
Doc,
The
Gerald
what was
Parks.
his name?
Gerald Parks played Doc.
Doc. Yeah, Doc's character. I I was really surprised when I found out that he was the same guy named Doc on Fraggle Rock, the nice little man with the puppet dog, and here he is cussing and yelling and saying "fuck tits" and it was stuff.
Fuck
I,
ass.
I ass. He was saying all this stuff, and I was just laughing my butt off. It was fun. I was really mad though because I realized halfway through the movie that you guys could hear anything I was saying. It's my mic wouldn't work, and then when I was going to turn my camera on and go, "Hey guys, I'm trying to talk to you," but my camera wouldn't work. Nothing would work. So I was like, "Oh well, I'm just gonna have to enjoy the movie by myself because you guys couldn't hear me." But because my Discord got all messed up. But yeah, that was funny when I realized who he was because he's almost wearing the exact same outfit. You know what I mean? He
Just
looked like
about.
the same character. Like they picked him up from the Boondock Saints and put him in Fraggle Rock. You know, just picked him up, set him over there, and now he's a nice guy. And he doesn't have Tourette's. I thought that was hilarious when I realized who he was, the actor wise. That was funny. Sorry.
I love that guy. I watched Fraggle Rock over the last 10 years, and I think hell, I might even have it available on my friend's server. But it's one of those really nice shows that like it's impossible to watch it without feeling like a 7 or 8 year old again, or however old you were whenever
I
83
love
comes
puppet
out.
shows. I mean, I
Yeah,
love everything to do with the Hensons and Labyrinth. You know, even the little tiny worm that was crawling along,
yeah.
talking to the characters. I just and the fairies, the great job they did on the fairies, and just everything. I love everything like that. I just you know, and even
And and, and
in
that's why
Legend,
you and I
the
we
witch
get
in
along so
Legend
well.
and the characters and stuff in there. I just loved it. I just loved all that stuff. So I love puppets.
That's why like there's some really good YouTubers we know like Punk Waddle, Snow Dub, and of entertainment and music. We have some really good friends in our tertiary sphere that are really talented with puppets. You know, Flo from Under a Rock or Floral from Under a Rock, and
Mhm.
others, and they put on some really good stuff, and they learn a talent, they learn a trade doing these silly little puppet shows. But I
I've been
know,
on that show.
yeah,
I've been a guest.
that is so much fun, and those people are having a blast. Now, mind
And
you,
that's a lot
Jaws,
of work. A lot of people
yeah,
have no idea how much work goes into controlling puppets. Because if you're doing their mouth and you have to have a stick that helps you move their hands and stuff, depending on, or whether it's a two-person puppet, things like that, or just a sock puppet, that still takes a lot of work to move your hand as if they're actually speaking, things like that. I don't know. I just think it takes a lot of creativity to do
yeah,
that type of stuff. And a lot of people don't understand how much work goes into making them, creating your characters, and then writing backstories for them and having them interact with other people. I love it. I think that's good. Hope it's never a dying art.
I don't think it will ever be a dying art because there's too many people out there that recognize that there is an uncanny valley that will pop up when you watch CGI. As much as I love watching a man and his younger friend hunt around England's forests and they look for fairies, I recognize that the fairies that are on those videos are CGI. And it's okay to play pretend and be like, oh, they're just hunting CGI fairies. There's another part of me that's worried because the CGI is very well done, but the fairies are not real. There's some other good camera work out there that you can see, like there's some definite supernatural stuff going on, or maybe the camera has just photographed a moth or an insect and they've labeled it a fairy and nobody's debunked it yet and properly shown you what variety of insect it is that got blurry in the camera. But
Mhm.
there are definite pieces of photographic and video evidence out there where there are little people, and that's quite amazing. Yeah, we're talking about the Cotton Connection,
Yeah,
and
that's
like,
it.
yeah, those guys are fucking talented. And I don't have the patience to do stop motion. If I did stop motion, or if I did stop motion with these miniatures, Like you would see me going to work with those, and I might not come out of my hole for like 3 months, but I'll come back out with like a 45-second video, and you'll be like, what? And that's where the benefit of CGI is, because CGI, you can touch things up and you can kind of smooth things over, but it's not supposed to be a replacement for real practical effects. And that's why you'll have puppeteers and marionettes continue to be something that will last longer than what we will on this planet. There's never not going to be a need for that, because that is a real art. Gerald Parks, I salute you. I just found out today he was dead. He's been dead since 2014. We're coming up on the 9-10 year anniversary of his passing. The guy was amazing, and I thought when I watched the first Boondock Saints movie he was actually with Tourette's. I didn't think that he was just an actor. He's good. He's really good.
Well, I wanted to finish what I was talking about, because we got sidetracked about the guy that wrote the script, Duffy. It said, while producers courted Duffy for the rights to this script, Duffy made it clear he was only interested in working with people who went above and beyond. So a little guy named Harvey Weinstein, you may have heard of him, has been in the news recently, not only promised Duffy at least $300,000 for the script and a $15 million production budget, he also bought the bar Duffy used to work for. Weinstein then gave Duffy co-ownership of the bar. It was called J. Sloan's, which naturally made Duffy much more open to working with the producer. Duffy signed with Miramax, and then Weinstein proceeded to mostly ignore him during the development process. Their relationship eventually soured to the point that Miramax declined to produce the film, and Duffy suspects Weinstein actively sabotaged his career. So, who knows if that's true or not? And then it says that part of what Harvey Weinstein's such a monster was his willingness to use his industry clout to harm the careers of those he didn't like. So now you know why so many women would accept his advances and stuff, just so they would keep their careers. So that's part of the story. But even men were afraid of him, apparently.
Yeah.
This manifested most horribly in the tales of his harassment. Actresses felt if they didn't comply to his wishes, he would end their careers. Indeed, several directors have collaborated such stories, saying the producer would actively threaten filmmakers who worked with actors and actresses he didn't like. It wouldn't have been out of character for Weinstein to, as Duffy and his friends had said, blacklist the Boondock Saints when it debuted at the Cannes Film Festival. Duffy was trying to find any distributor willing to sell the movie to theaters, and in the documentary, overnight, he suspected Weinstein of telling them to stay away, which they did. Nobody wanted to distribute it because of Columbine.
Yeah.
So,
but at first you think it's like all the NIMBY-PIMBY, like, the backyard associations, the moms that are against Dungeons and Dragons shit. But the more you delve into this, you realize this movie was sabotaged from the top, much like one of our other movies, which turned into our fan favorite films, the Ice Pirates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And even, what was the other one? Cutthroat Island. See, that's all behind the scenes. Like I said, I guarantee if we could dig around in all the movies that you and I have already talked about and stuff, we could find out a lot of stuff about whether the movie did well or not. If we could find out the little squabbles, behind the scenes with the production people, or producers, or the director sleeping with some producer's wife, or who knows what's going on. But a lot of them fought. They fight like cats and dogs, and they snub their noses at each other. It's just dumb, the whole thing. But I was going to finish reading the rest of this thing. It said, perhaps coupled with the efforts of Weinstein to stifle the film, distributors had one big reason to avoid Boondock Saints, the Columbine High School incident. Occurring just a month before the film distributed at the Cannes Film Festival, the school shootings shocked the nation. The proprietors of the crime, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold also happened to be a pair of white male shooters inflicting their worldview using firearms. See? So, you know, a lot of people think, you know, oh, it's woke to do this and that. But yeah, if you think about it, all the parents and stuff that wouldn't want their children or teenagers, you know, or younger adults to go see this because they think that, yeah, after what happened, it's just too raw. This was a little too close for the fiction Duffy was selling, and distributors backed away from the film rather than tempt controversy. This is nothing new to the entertainment industry. Of course, with people in real life committing horrendous crimes with an array of firearms, it's natural for companies to get skittish when dealing with fictionized portrayals of gratuitous gun violence. So, and then the film was also banned to be used in Catholic churches. So, you know, they took a big chunk, and if it wasn't for the video sales, the movie would have tanked. But because of what was the name of that company? Blockbuster Video or whatever. They're the reason why this movie became a cult classic. It's because people were like, "What? This movie? This great movie with these actors and this stuff? It looks great. It's got William Dafoe."
There's a reason for that.
And nobody's watched it. Why didn't it make more money? You know, that's what people were thinking when they rented the movie because they hadn't seen it before. So there you go. That's what happens with sleepers. They don't make money at the box office, but they make a buttload of money on sales afterward because of lack of distribution from the production companies pushing the movie out on video or straight to video or whatever. So, but I thought it was a good movie. I thought I've seen a hell of a lot worse movies than this one, and this one was
watched some real stinkers.
Yeah.
There's a funny kind of what we're talking about. I'm looking for that arrest video of the drunk driver that she's entitled, and she's non-binary, she's got anxiety, and she uses all of the victim Olympics on the police officer. And
I remember seeing that one now that you said that.
Yeah, you saw this last week. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely great. And then, you know, she refuses. Her name is Kai. And because she's non-binary and she's an indigenous person. And it's just one of the greatest arrest videos I've ever seen in my life. But I'm looking for that because we're talking about all these stupid.
I had a friend, a very attractive, very well endowed friend that was driving through Oklahoma, and we were on the phone talking, and they were like going. I was like, "What? If you be real careful going through Stringtown because it goes from like 75 miles an hour down to 35, really fast." And they just sit there waiting. It's like a speed trap or whatever. And she's like, "Oh, I have no problem with it. You know, I'll just show my cleavage or whatever, and you know, I'll get away with the ticket." And then she goes, "I gotta go. I got red lights behind me." So I asked her how it went later. It was about 25 minutes later. She said, "Well, I got a ticket." And I said, "You didn't show your cleavage?" She said, "Yeah, but it was a woman." So she got a ticket anyways. So women do try to get out of tickets if they think they can do it. But
this girl tried everything in the book.
Limit. I just thought that was funny since you made me think of that since you're going to show this video. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's sad because, you know, things that happen in the real world can affect how people react to a movie. You know, like what was it? Remember when was it the Challenger that exploded?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you had that really happen, and then you got a disaster movie that comes out about one of our ships, you know, exploding in midair and people dying, it's probably not going to get as many people watching it as you thought would want to watch it, you know. So I think it has a lot to do with that type of thing because people just don't want to go watch a movie to get depressed. They want to watch a movie to take them away from reality. And if it's too much like reality, they're not going to spend all the money.
I'm not going to show that raw police footage, but I just put a post up on my community tab on YouTube for those that want to see. There's a woman that gets pulled over in New Mexico, and the Victim Olympics is strong with this one. Okay, so we're talking about this movie that I kind of like. I actually really do like this movie a lot. It first was shown off to me in 2000. A friend of mine let me borrow his DVD of it. I watched it with my parents in 2000, and needless to say, I was the only one in the room that had any semblance of enjoyment from this movie. My mom is a very traditional woman of the boomer generation. God bless her. But this is not a movie that aligns with her morality in any shape or form. And my dad was like, I'm just going to go to bed because there's nothing here I need to see. And I watched the movie. I'm a little disappointed. I don't like non-linear storytelling. I mean, it might be okay for you to do if you're an edgy, want to get people's attention person, and you think that this is going to show a new way to tell a movie. That's great. The Memento has done it best. I still am not a big fan of a Memento. Reservoir Dogs did it pretty well. Pulp Fiction, again, pretty okay. I'm still not a super fan of that movie, but it's okay. Hey, Crafting Gamer, how you been? Good to see you. Woke up from your nap. This movie is an interesting film, to say the least, because it does go along the thought process where, people are going to start being vigilantes and they're just going to clean up their own neighborhoods. Well, that sounds pretty okay. And these kids go on a spree. I don't know if it's because God told them to, or if,
to me, that's what was implied when you see them both sleeping in their little cots. And I think it's why they're in jail. And remember the crack, and it almost looks like a tree with branches coming out and the water starts dripping out.
Mm-hmm.
And what was gross to me about the whole scene was it got water dripping out. You're in jail, and it's dripping on your face and on your body and stuff. And it's probably a toilet leaking up above.
It probably is a toilet leak.
That's all I could think of. So that was just gross to me. And they both sit up at the same time because they're having the same dream, apparently. So then that's why I looked it up, and it says on here, it says, the Boondock Saints centers on a pair of Irish Catholic brothers played by Sean Patrick Flannery and Norman Reedus. The McManus brothers go on a vigilante crusade thanks to shared revelations with heavy religious overtones. It follows the Catholicism would play a big role in the film. Multiple scenes are set in churches. Rosary beads and crucifixes are everywhere. The thing is, the church that appears in the film is actually a Lutheran church, just like you talked about. So the whole thing, supposedly during that one scene, they have a revelation. But see, I told you, all of that was jumbled. It didn't make any sense to me why they all of a sudden decided to start doing this crucifix murdering of bad people. They don't really talk about it, like the scene when they're in the car together in front of that bar, the strip bar, and the dweeby dum-dum is in the back seat. Okay, remember that?
Yep.
And he says, I know everyone. I know their habits, where they eat, who they sleep with. He knows all this stuff. In that time, it could have been when they were talking about when they had their religious experience, and that they were told by God to rid the world of these bad people. Because if it's bad enough that they have to do the same prayer before they crucify them, you should at least let the audience know why they're doing it. You know what I mean? So to me, I had a really hard time thinking that one dream in jail, and they both had a dream that we don't know what it is, but it's causing them to work together and take out a bunch of bad guys, but let alone they're Catholic, and they have a gay FBI guy that's helping them out, but that's not considered sinful. See, it just, to me, it was like they took a wonderful character that was really good at solving crimes, right, and murders and stuff, and he befriends these young boys or these young men, and helps them so they don't go to prison for the rest of their life for this the first murders, right? Protecting themselves. But they're supposed to be doing it for religious reasons, but they accept him. See, just little things like that to me that was just dumb. It was like rushed, like they rushed through a few things just to make the story fit. You know what I mean? To fit it together the best they could. So it might have had a lot to do with editing.
You're forgetting that this is the impetus to modern day storytelling. I mean, this movie was made in 1999, and Troy Duffy was on the cusp of the newness of it. He was edgy. Mm-hmm. He was punk rock at the time. And nowadays it's just fucking standard for, like, Disney gets a script and they don't really like the script, but all of a sudden,
tell you what, make him a fat girl, make him gay and lame. It'll work.
And that's how it is, you know. You get.
Well, but you still had movies like Maverick, the new one that came out, the new Maverick movie. I mean, they can still write stories that are good, that tell a story, explains the story to you, and makes it entertaining with great acting, great action scenes, great music, you know, everything you need. So to me, that doesn't make it, you know, doesn't excuse this movie for the few dumb things that they did. If it was, because William Dafoe's character was just, he did an excellent job portraying it. So the fact that they had to add something that dumb, I mean, it could have been, the whole story could have been, they're taking all these people out because they backstabbed their dad or something, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that way they're going through the list of all these people that are the reason why their dad's in prison. And then you don't even know it's their dad. You don't have a reason. You don't have any reason to even know their dad is the one that they're helping get out of prison to take them two out. You see?
Yes.
So it's just, to me, it was kind of convoluted in a way. It was just kind of jumbled and, you know, like smashed together like Play-Doh or something to try to just make a ball. It didn't matter that it wasn't perfect. We're just going to do it because even though you roll it, it's going to fall apart. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe this is the one touch to the script that Mr. Weinstein did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But remember what I said about that other movie, that it seemed like the editing was done badly on purpose to hurt the movie.
Oh yeah.
And I really still believe that. And this could be part of it.
No, you not only said that, but you also unveiled that's exactly what happened to the Irish Pirates.
Yeah, but when I watched the movie, I told you before I got to research it, like me printing this stuff out today. It's after I watch it, I start going, man, this just did something's not right. You know, it just didn't fit right. I mean, the editing is just so bad on purpose, it looked to me. And the same thing with this one, it jumbled. It was like, it was like bad, taking a cassette tape, you know, whatever those are called, VHS tape, and splicing out the commercials and just taping it together, you know, not making it flow or have a page flip or something, like I said, or transcending from dark and then getting light again to come back to the next. You know, they just clipped it. It was just snap, snap, two different scenes stuck together.
I mean, so the continuity.
That's what I'm talking about.
If you go to the continuity tab on IMDb, the continuity tab is almost as long as the trivia tab for this movie.
I could see why. I didn't get to read that one yet.
Like this movie falls apart in the editing stage, and this movie is not a bad film. It's just the editor was out to lunch, or he had like a diabetic attack during the middle of his job, and he fucking like just did nothing whatsoever. And so the dailies turned into the movie. And I honestly,
some of it was good. Remember, like I said at the very beginning, when he jumped off the roof and landed on the guy with the thing, the whole way that flowed, it was a very fluid scene. It all went together, even though when they went back and showed the whole thing with you know, the scene, how the bodies got there, you know, but when they were there and William Dafoe's looking at it and they're giving their points of view, it flowed really well. It wasn't chopped up like the rest. So maybe they had one editor that started, and then they had another editor that came in towards the end to like do some touch-ups or something, and he just went through and you started hacking it up. You know what I'm saying?
Finish the movie for you.
I didn't get to
see safe and effective.
Who it was, but it just seemed like that. It just seemed choppy, like it got chopped up in some spots. when it wasn't needed to be that way. I don't know why, but that just really stood out to me. But, normally I talk through the whole movie and say stuff and let you know, what did that seem weird to you? Or at the end, when we're talking afterward, I didn't get to do that because I had my Discord was messed up. So I couldn't do that. And I really like to do that because I like to bounce what I'm thinking off with other people. It just makes me feel.
It's one of my favorite things to do on Sunday night, especially because we have the benefit of time to have our friends that we share this with on the YouTubes and Rumbles. We can allow them like a much better time to have their voice come out and be heard on things. Not that we wouldn't show them the ability during the week. God, we love it. We love that ability. There was before we started today's show, we had a really nice note from our friend 6 Nation 31 Kings, because we've been going through some crap, both of us here lately. And, he's like, I was curious about how Janet's doing, how you're doing. She seems frustrated as hell over her situation. I don't blame her. I saw a jug of cheap Carlo Rossi, and I remembered her talking about getting hammered. I picture myself plopped on my ass. I've got bendy straws.
I was ready to miss them.
He's got daisy chain bendy straws going into the Carlo Rossi. Those Carlo Rossi jugs are amazing, and you can have a lot of drunks off that one $8 purchase. But he was a very nice gentleman in that, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, that was very sweet. Very sweet.
Go ahead.
That was very sweet.
Yeah. And I tell you what, if you guys don't want to type comments to us on YouTube, you can send us both PMs or whatever. We'll read your stuff out loud if you want us to, especially. But I thought that was a polite enough note. Like, no. This, we've both been going through crap, and we have people that give a shit about us. And he was with us on Saturday, part of the crew that slays together, and that was a lot of fun. Being able to do that, Flady is able to play as his character Wind, and he's the bard that he's going to have he's going to have a lot more on his plate. By the way, bumping into Big Al is something that just kind of happened. That's how the dice roll. So we'll see how that works out for the party. But I really think this movie is not a bad film. I think I don't like the non-linear storytelling. That's like the worst part about this movie for me. Because if they would just
I think the editing had a lot to do with why it ended up that way. I really do. Because the director envisioned what he wanted when he picked this to film it, right? Yeah. Okay. And when the story was written, it was written with a reason behind it. It wasn't just a dream that someone had or whatever. He wrote it because he was pissed off about what he was seeing, right? He was seeing things happening around him, and it pissed him off. So it had passion behind it. So you can definitely tell that, and you want to see that come on the screen. So he was very selective about who he picked to be in this movie and who was going to portray these characters. And I think they did an excellent job picking these two guys to portray the brothers. And then you have the mysterious dad that shows up later on. And then you have the FBI agent, and then the three Huey, Dewey, and Louie type, detectives, which
as they call them.
They gave you a good laugh every so often by the way they bounced off each other. So, and you're wondering why. Now we know why cops never solve these crimes, because they just use a bunch of bumbling buffoons that don't know shit instead of learning from, whatever better ways of looking at things and trying to figure out the crime and how unfolded by paying attention. A little more details or whatever. They just stand around like ding dongs, listening to William Dafoe. And then when he goes in there and he sees all the blood spatter right on those two pillars, and you see all the bullet holes everywhere, and he's thinking it had to be like 6 guys, shooting. And then that one detective that's not been very smart the whole time, he says, what if it was one guy with 6 guns? That was the smartest thing he said through the whole movie, because the picture that you get to see was he has 3 holsters with two guns in each, one gun in each one of these holsters. And he's got 3 lines with 2 holsters, one on each side. So he has 6 guns on him. So, and that what was so funny with that scene to me that was unbelievable, even though it was a huge scene, after seeing the guys fall through the ceiling and do the miraculous spinning where they're both shooting, perfect shots, take out all these guys. What was it? 9 guys in one room, and there's blood everywhere, and they all full of holes or whatever. And then they had the shootout right in the front of the house, broad daylight, and nobody could shoot each other. Their dad didn't get shot, okay? And they shot 75, 80 bullets or something with 3 people shooting at him and didn't get shot. And then they get shot. One gets his finger shot off, and the other one gets shot in the leg, and his blood goes all over the pillar. Remember, he had to spray the ammonia on it to try to cover up his blood so they couldn't get DNA samples or blood types or whatever. And who taught him that? You see, there was just so many gaps in that part of it. And that was probably, it could have been edited out. I don't know. I'd have to watch the documentary. Like a lot of people said that the documentary they made was better than the movie, really. Told you more. It was more precise or whatever. I don't know. I'd have to watch it. Is that what you were talking about, asking me if I'd watched that?
Not the documentary. There's actually a commentary track on the DVD.
Oh no, I didn't get to do that. So, but I told you at the beginning. I think it was on the stuff I was reading that said that about.
But this movie succeeds in a lot of ways, and we're at that point where if you guys are in a chat and you're familiar with the movie Boondock Saints 1999, go ahead, throw your scores up in the chat, and do that for us, because we like reading off your scores. We like knowing that you guys did value the movie enough to watch it, or at least do you recommend it to other people, or would you rather this movie like sit on a shelf and bury the warehouse like a ET cartridge in the desert? So, I mean, there is some questions that I have for the film, and while the movie I think is really good, I think the movie has a lot of problems. The best part of the movie for me is actually when Tales of the boys get out. Granted, the final scene in the courtroom is great.
When the reporter is going around asking people, what do you think about this vigilante, these vigilante killers, blah, blah, blah.
That's the best part of the movie, I think. Mm-hmm. It's because you get everybody there, and it looks like genuine reactions out of people. Some people are like, nope, don't fucking talk to me about it. Other people are like, hey, I love the idea. Can we do this? Can we put this in every city? And that's something that is repeated in every act. You guys should be in every city.
Yep.
That's something that they don't fail to mention that. And that's because, this poor guy, Troy Duffy, he lived in a crappy apartment situation, kind of like what I live in right now. And, you see stuff that you don't want to in your neighborhood or in your parking lot when you're just trying to park your fucking vehicle after a day of work. And you're like, really? I got to deal with this here? No. There was one day, what was it? It was February of last year. I pull into my apartment complex, and there's this young kid, probably about 25 or 27. And as I'm trying to pull my car through the gate, after I swipe it through, the gate's opening, and the kid acts like he's just going to walk right in front of me. And I'm like, there's a car gate, get out of my way. He's like, don't you ever honk your horn at me. I'm like, shut up, out of my way. And then he says, I'm going to kill you. And I said, let me park the car. Let me park the car. Let's talk. And at that point, he turns into a human deer, and he runs across the street. And I'm out of the car, and I've got the knife out, and I'm ready to just hack somebody down. Somebody get this on video. The little piece of shit just threatened my life, and I'm scared beyond belief. Whack, 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 whack. And I didn't get the chance to do that, but I've not seen him since. And it's great because, he took me seriously. Like, no, let me park my car, you little shit, and let's talk about your fucking mouth. And then I called. I had to make a report about it. So I called up and like the cops like, don't do that. I'm like, listen, after I've been at work for 10 hours slinging shit, pulling hoses, don't be an idiot and threaten my fucking life when I'm trying to pull in my apartment so I can get a shower. You know, and he's like, yeah, but this sounds like it's premeditated. I said, I have my fucking knife in the car so I can defend myself against somebody. If I use a gun, I'm going to cause a mess on the road. At least with a knife, I can be nice and polite and put it in a ditch. And he's like, yeah, this is premeditated. I said, listen, what type of cop are you? If you aren't going to fucking take care of the garbage, this kid's peddling drugs throughout my fucking complex. He's like, what are you, from New York now? I said, did I tell you my last name, you shit? And he's like, I'm like, listen, the kid peddles drugs. My wife has witnessed him numerous times harassing people, taking money from people, having handoffs, and you guys won't do shit about it. So if he ends up in a ditch somewhere, I don't care. I'll clap. And that's how I am. I mean, I watch stupid people all the time. I have to drive in the city streets, and whenever I see a 5 or 7 car pileup, I think, well, there's somebody that was watching their phone instead of watching the windshield. Thank God they're no longer going to be doing this.
Yeah,
Hopefully
it's
they take
sad.
the bus.
It's sad though. That's what I'm saying. It really depends on what's going on in a person's life and where they're at in that aspect. If someone was to walk up with the microphone and ask you, you know, what do you think about this this trio, like the one I got on the wall right there behind me?
Yeah. Yes.
Of the three, that's 2 sons and the dad, right?
See that, guys?
You put the wrong side with it there. I printed that out because I wanted, you know, because I'm the reporter and I was talking about that. But the thing is that it depends on what you're going through in your life, whether you would say, well, I think they should wait and let the police do their job, or you'll be one of those people that are sick and tired of the crap that's going on around you. And you're going to say, well, you know, I'm applauding these guys. I think that they're cleaning up the city because the cops aren't, you know, or something like that. So it really does depend on, you know, what's going on around you, or what type of comment you would make. But see, to me, that wasn't my favorite scene. My favorite scene in the movie was the part where William Dafoe's character, the FBI agent, finds out that the 2 brothers had been kidnapped by that one gang or mafia leader or whatever, that one group of bad guys that are tired of that. I think they're the ones that hired the dad, even though they didn't know it was the dad, to take out the trash for them, to get rid of these people that were causing all the problems. But when they take them, William Dafoe finds out, and he knows where they're at because he just looks it up because he has all this extra way of looking things up for the government. And so he dresses up, but you don't know that until the guy opens the door. You see it's William Dafoe dressed up as a woman with, you know, cat claws and, you know, all that stuff, and his hair all done up, and he's got sunglasses on. So the guy's like, I can't deal with this right now. We have important stuff. And he's like teasing him like, oh, you know, we take like 5 minutes or whatever. You know, I've already been paid for, or something like that. I don't remember exactly because I was laughing. So when William Dafoe goes in, the other guy walks up there and goes, what are you doing? You don't have time for that. And he goes, what? What do you mean? It only take me like 5 minutes. He goes, well, hurry up and get it over with. So he takes William Dafoe in the other room. I think it was like a real nice master bathroom or something. Because it looked like it wasn't real big, but it looked like a shower or a tub and a toilet and a sink and stuff in there. So I think it was a master bath because it was bigger than a small bathroom. And they get into a scuffle in there after they kiss. That's what would crack me up. It was like that real slobbery kiss that William Dafoe's like tongue going, oh, going all over. It was disgusting. But I was laughing my butt off. It was hilarious. Then he gets down on the floor and he's like, come on, take me now, or whatever. And you can see his briefs underneath the black pantyhose. They weren't thigh highs or nothing. They were like pantyhose, the ones that you pull up, you know, all the way up. And he's laying on the ground, and that guy's looking down on him. And that's when his wig falls off. When his wig falls off, he says, what the? Like that. And that's when William Dafoe kicks him in the balls. Then he's got to get his purse. He get his gun out of his purse. So he wasn't very prepared because he was enjoying it, I think, too much,
He was enjoying it very much.
Oh my God, I was laughing so hard, but it was such a good scene. I mean, it was a 10. That scene was a 10. It was so well done. And William Dafoe stayed in character the whole time. I guarantee everyone that was filming that whole scene were really working hard to not crack up laughing because he was funny. It was a funny scene, and it was very well done. And then after he shoots the guy right in the head and the guy's laying on the ground, he's stumbling around and then he looks at himself in the mirror and he's putting his wig on. I just laughed. Did you guys not laugh?
I laughed my ass off.
I heard you laugh a lot, quite a few times, and say comments and stuff. And I know you were wondering, why hasn't Janet made any noise? Well, now you know why. Because I was really laughing a lot.
I hate to say this, but I kind of figured you were having difficulty.
I laughed so hard. That scene, I almost had tears in my eyes. It was so funny, but it was so well done. It was almost perfection. I mean, every aspect of it. It was just so well done. The angle that they filmed it, you know, from up and from down, looking down at him, and just William Dafoe is a genius. I mean, when it comes to acting, I mean, there's only been a very few actors that I know of that are that good at portraying a character like that, and William Dafoe is one of them. Christopher Walken. He's another one, and we lost our other one. I always forget his name.
From Galaxy Quest. James
Galaxy Quest. What was his name?
You remember the movie True Romance, Janet?
Yes.
Okay, the scene where James Gandolfini beats the hell out of the Alabama in a hotel room.
Yes.
There's so much physical acting he does with just his eyes, like he's an actor.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. But when you get such a good scene like that, you know, that to me brought the movie up. The rating I would have gave it just because the editing was so shit. That one scene was just top notch. I mean, the detail that it took for him to stay as a woman but act like a cop, but a woman cop, you know, because he was still trying to get the guy down there and not laugh. Neither one of them were laughing, so I don't know how they did it. I just don't know how they did it. They did such a good job. It was such a good scene. I recommend people watch this movie because it is good. It's very entertaining. It has a little bit of comedy. It has intrigue. It has excitement. It has some really good shooting scenes, you know, fight scenes and stuff in it. It was just really, really good. If it wasn't for the editing fiasco parts, I think it would have been, you know, at least a 9 for sure.
If this movie would have been directed by Guy Ritchie, like Six Nations 31 Kings says, I give it 70 out of 100. Popular opinion was 45 or so at the time. It resonates with the red pilled and alternative crowd more than normies. But if Guy Ritchie made it in his heyday, it'd be like a 90%. I agree.
I do too, 100%.
Bone says 7.4 out of 10. D. Jodeci says 7.5 out of 10. That's, you know, kind of what we've got there. This is a great film for what this movie is. It turned out really good. It's just that I think the dailies probably leaned in toward a different film, and that could have been, you know, we were robbed of a good movie, and you can blame Weinstein and a lot of other people.
Yeah, because of this other part said when Duffy's script was first discovered, it became a hot commodity very quickly. It may be difficult to believe it now, but A-listers were lining up around the block to work on the first-time director. They were.
Oh, the fact that Ewan McGregor went out drinking with this guy, and they got into an argument. Duffy drinks to excess, and Ewan McGregor's done. He's out.
Yeah, because it said Duffy would throw parties and meet with actors like Patrick Swayze, Ian McGregor, Jeff Goldblum, and Mark Wahlberg. It says, as fans of the movie are no doubt aware, not one of these actors actually appear in the Boondock Saints. Despite meeting with all these actors, they dropped out for a variety of reasons. Filming conflicted with Wahlberg's role in Boogie Nights. Swayze and Goldblum passed, and McGregor turned down the role after Duffy showed up at a meeting drunk and incoherent.
I heard that the drunk happened after they went out drinking, and he supposedly got into an argument with Ewan McGregor about the death penalty. Of all the reasons to like say no to a check, I think when it comes time to your money, unless you have money in the bank, which this is not post, it might have been right around the time where the checks from Phantom Menace were happening, so he might have been okay, but I don't think Ewan McGregor should have probably had that.
But if you think about it, who would they have gotten for any of these actors, to be the brother that would have been as good as the two they ended up with?
Yeah.
That's what it says. It says fans of the film are likely happy with the actors who ended up starring in the film, but it's hard not to imagine the movie could have been if Duffy had managed to hire these stars.
Yeah.
And yeah, it probably would have been a higher rated thing. But if it had the same editing person and a few other things, it still would have been a high Papa Cotton. It still wouldn't have been a 10, or maybe even a 9, because editing does make a huge difference if it's edited shitty. That's what happens. You get bad editing and it hurts your movie. It just hurts the soundtrack. It hurts a lot of things because it doesn't flow the same way it would normally flow as a smooth flow. That's why I really believe the beginning of the movie was probably edited by a different person than the person towards the end, or the same person did it. And somehow after he got halfway through the editing, somebody contacted him and said, well, if you ever want to work on another movie with this person involved as a producer, you better chop it up a little bit or something. You see what I mean? It's just too obvious to me to have that good of editing at that part, and then all of a sudden it's like hack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just too obvious to me.
The first half of the film, I think, is the best.
Mm-hmm. It is. It flows really well, the whole thing. And then all of a sudden,
part that I have a problem with is actually the scene in the hotel where they ambush the Russian mob and fall through the vent. I have a real problem with that, just for the fact that I've worked alongside guys in HVAC, and you can tell when somebody's fucking around in the vents. Like there's not a like sneak available. You have a negative 40% to your stealth, okay? Because you're in an enclosed metal tube that vibrates and resonates, and everybody in the building can hear everything you're doing, including having a fart. A mosquito farts in an event, and you can hear it. That's the part of the movie that, like, for me, I was like, Troy, I like you, but I don't think you wrote this one too well. And that's the scene where I have a real problem with.
Well, one thing I wanted to read, I was trying to remember where it was at, but I found it. It says about Ron Jeremy appearing in the movie, right?
Yep.
And he'd been in thousands of movies, making him a veteran actor.
Well, yeah, I mean, he literally is.
He was in porn. But what's funny, it says not much is known about exactly why Jeremy makes this cameo, but he remarked that working with Duffy was interesting because the director was so decisive and sure of what he wanted. Also, co-star Sean Patrick Flannery says that Jeremy made a mold of his famously large member and gave it to Flannery as a gift to mark the end of shooting. The inscription said, "Keep up the hard work." I didn't know you guys knew that, but I just thought that was so funny, because that's how cool would it be to be on a set and get to meet these people and see them interact with each other. That is one of the funnest things about getting to be on a set and be on second crew. The second crew doesn't really spend lots of time with the actors, or with all of them grouped together. They do a lot of single things where they go out and they'll film extra scene to edit in, or let's say they got a double that's walking across the street, wearing the same clothes or whatever, to edit into the other stuff so that it makes the scene longer, just things like that. So that's what second crew does. And second crew is the one with the stand-ins and stuff like that. Okay, so the stand-in setting up everything, getting it ready, getting the scenes ready for the actors, and then that's first crew. That's what you call it. That's what it is.
This
You
movie,
get to hang out with the fun ones, the ones that laugh and tell jokes. They smoke. Don't give a shit. The rules are a little more lax with second crew than with the staunch. You can't do this, you can't do that, because the actor's got to focus. All this kind of stuff. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And if you ever get a chance to do that, get to be a stand-in or something, you need to try. It's worth it. But I just had to read that to you because I just thought that was great. How much fun it would have been to been there when Ron Jeremy handed them.
here's a dick. Here's a dick mold of my penis.
It's hilarious. I just thought it was funny. I had to read that to you. Sorry.
I think it's great. And as a fan of Ron Jeremy, I'm not a super fan of his work. I'm sorry. I've only watched it.
No, I've never seen him. And I'm thankful right now, honestly, because he's for me. And, I don't want a trunk coming at me. I'd be screaming, throwing peanuts and running is what I would probably do. But not mine.
You'd have better luck throwing a mouse in the room.
It's like, no way, buddy. Sorry, I'm not interested. Too much for you to handle.
I gotta say that there's a lot of love in this movie for the movie itself, but this movie was mainly filmed in Toronto, so I think the second unit went out to Boston with the boys, and that opening 3 or 4 minutes they did the filming for the majority of stuff, like the Lutheran church, the scene of the boys walking along the bridge, and just kind of like being brothers, like walking on their way back home after a long and exhausting day of sitting in mass and getting your ear talked off. No offense, Father, but that I think was the second unit's primary responsibility, was setting it up and making it look great, while the first unit was getting everything brought together, building the first bar that the doc would swear in, and they did a good job with that. I think the first part of this movie really is fantastic. I would say even the first half of it's good. For me, it falls apart right around the Russian mob scene in the hotel, where they're just dangling there and they magically shoot 7 or 9 guys, 8 guys without having a problem. Because
remember when William Dafoe was saying these guys can't be pros because pros wouldn't do it this way. How would he know that? It seemed pretty professional to me to drop from the ceiling tied with ropes all over you, where you have no way to get away. You know what I mean? Unless you cut yourself down. And they just used it, and they just spun around and took them all out. So
shooting gallery.
Yeah, it was like a shooting gallery. But the thing is that they seemed very professional to me. So to me, that really didn't make any sense when he was saying that and how he picked that up.
Well, this movie makes a couple errors and critiques on things. Like the first guy, Bob Marley, is playing the character in the start of the film. He plays Detective Greenlee, and he's asking the dead Russians in the alley, where are you going? Nowhere. And he gives that really bad hypothesis of how the movie starts off. We have no idea what's going on here, but these guys, here's my bad assessment of how it goes. And then out walks, William Dafoe's character, and he assigns everything and figures it out within 4 minutes of being on site. He's already got somebody bringing him coffee because he's going to lounge the rest of the day. He's just going to enjoy the shit of himself. We're here to take care of this, and this is now a federal matter, no big deal. And I'm hoping that I'm entertaining enough for you guys. And he just has a good time with the Boston cops, but he's there with the Three Stooges, or you call them Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Yeah, that's what I call them.
Yeah.
He always got coffee. He was coffee boy after that.
No. Don't forget, he also assigned him, I need a bagel.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, bagel and the coffee. And he said, don't forget the sugar. But the thing is, he's the one at the end. I told you that he actually said, well, maybe it was one guy with 6 guns. He actually got it right.
He gets it right. And
so I thought they did really good for sidekicks, for the, comedy relief or whatever you want to call it. to make
I'm,
the
I'm
three
not.
cops stupid.
I'm not discounting the casting agent getting Huey, Dewey, and Louie right and wrong. I think they all did really good. I think this movie succeeds in a lot of places. I think this movie fails mainly at the editing, and that's where you and I are both in agreement. I'm not a big fan of nonlinear storytelling. You think the movie gets hacked up worse than a slasher film in the 1970s, and that
Mhm.
I think both of us are pretty much okay on that. Um, there's a problem that I have with this film, and that's that it never got answered. Like my friend Bear, the Gen X GM, talked a couple weeks ago before he took a sabbatical off the web for a few days. He said we had a promise in the 1990s of what type of world we were going to be entering and what we could expect as adults and how we could be expected to perform as adults. And that world that we had available to us is no longer in existence. In fact, everything from that time and before is trying to be erased, and they're trying to give us something new because they want to paint a new world order. And he doesn't go much further into that, but you can ascertain that he was onto something. And I really appreciate having Bear as a friend of mine and being able to be on his shows, be able to watch him on Sundays. He does like a 12-hour stream. Really good guy. But Bear had hit a real nerve when he discussed this, and I thought, man, that's a gold mine, and it's pretty accurate from my perspective as a kid born in the 70s. You know, you think that the world is going to be a certain way when you get older, and you know you have all these idiots out there telling you go to college, get a good job, go out there, get some loans, get yourself set up, and then you can pay it all off later because you're going to earn
Have
more than what you took
2.3
out.
kids.
Say again.
I said have 2.3 kids.
You have 2.3 kids, 2.5, 2.5. Get a half baby, and you know it's just kind of funny how life does not work out well for us, you know, and how the world we were promised is something that was taken away pretty much. I hate to say it was taken away during the 2001 World Trade Center bombing, but actually it was long before that ever happened, where we were denied the adulthood that we actually deserved, and that was probably in 1991, 92, because we had a bunch of people that were in charge here in Western society, and they were tired of ham radio people talking bad about them, and therefore, you know, they do a hit on Oklahoma City, and
Mhm.
that's kind of the start of the unraveling of everything. And then, you know, well, that's not enough. People are still talking about Bill and Hillary. You know, they still talk bad about Hillary Care. You know, and so they hit the World Trade Center. They give money to some sheep herder family in Saudi Arabia because one of them is a black sheep, and he doesn't get along well with the family, and he hates everything America does. He got pissed off at us because we helped out in the Afghanistan conflict bullshit that we should have never stuck our nose in. But that's Osama bin Laden's modus operandi, and somebody helped us out. That otherwise they'd still be fighting the Russians. Well, anyway, we get this world because of all these things that happened 30 years ago. And the result is that we now have to live with the apathy we had in the early and mid and late 90s, where we weren't being encouraged to go out and get involved, go out and get involved, go out. Now, guys that are in their 40s and 50s are telling the kids in their 20s and 30s, listen, I don't give a fuck what you do, but go talk to the people on your school board. Make sure you get involved in the town council, the town board. Make sure you knuckle over your alderman, you put them to work for you, and don't let them fuck your neighborhood over. Don't let them fuck your city over, because we fucked up back in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, and we were apathetic and we did nothing, but we stood by and we allowed shit to fester. And this is what's happened. And it happened long before the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, but we had the start of capability and responsibility to take hold of it. And we did nothing because we obeyed the media. We did exactly what they wanted us to, which was nothing. We got involved with buying DVDs and listening to the new Robert Plant album. We were concerned about the newest movie, American Psycho, and you know the transgressions of the 1980s and Reaganomics and shit. Instead of us getting involved in telling the communists, get the fuck out of our country, get the fuck out of our town council, get the fuck out of being a ruination, a cancer on our society, we allowed them to take over strongholds like Chicago, New York, San Francisco. and now it's everywhere. So if you guys don't get involved, one of your only courses of recourse is unacceptable, and that's vigilantism.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to say that. I mean, I love the idea of just dead people. I really do. I prefer dead communists. But people that die for a good cause is a good thing. They're promised a kingdom of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want people to be able to stand up for themselves before they no longer have a platform to speak from. And that's the problem that I have. This movie really hit a nerve. And unfortunately, the people that heard it are the ones that are fucking very violent, very fanatical now. They're the ones reading rules for radicals 10, 15, 20 years ago saying, yeah, we're going to do this. And now, whenever there's a problem, whenever a little black boy gets shot by a white cop, there's a fucking riot. Oh, there goes the Wendy's. If you have a fucking
look
problem.
at what happened. You can bring up, I hope you don't get in trouble for me talking about this, but you can bring up the J6 incidents, right?
Oh, well, all the hours.
All these people sitting in jail all this time, supposedly for trying to pull off an insurrection to stop the election, to keep Donald Trump in office or whatever they're saying. Because Mike Pence had states that were in front of him saying, send the votes back to the states. We have evidence of cheating or whatever it was, and they were talking about it and showing them the evidence. And then, and how convenient this happens, right? And so he accepts the college votes and doesn't send the votes back to the states. When that was his one job that he could have done to stop all of it, but he didn't. Okay, he went along with the left and sent them in and accepted them the way they were. So all these people get arrested. But the thing is, if you watch the videos, this is what kills me, is that you watch the video and you shows the police officers, the Capitol people, opening the doors and letting people in. They're wandering through the place in between the red ropes, like it's a tour. Yeah. They're going into offices and stuff like that, but they're not bashing anything. Now, there was a few that broke windows and stuff, but now more and more evidence is coming out with the other videos that they should have used in court, but the people weren't allowed to defend themselves with the videotapes for some reason, to show that they didn't go there for an insurrection. They were just taking a tour and they were excited. Yeah, they, went in when it was closed, but the guards opened the doors and let them in. So, I don't understand how that works because I'm not a lawyer. But the thing is that we have people right now rioting and stuff in the streets for this whole Palestine, Hamas lovers or whatever people, and nothing. They're at the White House. They're at all these different places and nothing. That's not, a crime for what they're doing. And more and more the tapes are coming out showing what actually happened. And hopefully all these people will be let out and be paid restitution for all the stuff they lost out on, which you can't get 2 years back in your life for it. But all these people that had to make a plea bargain because they were about to lose their homes, their jobs, their families, everything, because they've been accused of something that they really didn't do. They didn't have an insurrection. Yeah, they probably trespassing and some other stupid shit. Yeah, I could agree with that. But they didn't stop anything. Okay. From what I could tell, they moved all the barriers that were surrounding the place and they threw flashbangs behind them to push them towards the Capitol. All kinds of weird things. The videos are showing that now. I'm seeing more and more of them. I'm trying to watch as many as I can. But there's like 4,000 something videos that they released. So it's going to take a while. But everything that people have been saying since day one, because a lot of YouTubers went there live and did live streams showing people in black outfits changing their clothes under trees and putting on red, white, and blue outfits and MAGA hats and walking around. So I'm telling you, all that stuff's slowly coming out. And when it does, but how does that change anything? It's almost time to have another election. All this time, it took this long, and they held it off long enough for this to happen, to keep the other person in office so they could split the money, stop the oil drilling, to basically tear our country apart from the inside out and bankrupt us, make us weak. People were kicked out of the military because 180,000 people were kicked out of the military because they wouldn't get the jab. And then when they said, well, now you can come back and we'll give you this bonus check and you don't have to get the jab, you can come back, and only 40,000 went back. So we are under staffed. They're gonna, if we end up going to war, we're gonna have to have the draft just to replenish the numbers that we've lost. And then where are they gonna put all the men that have now become women? So you're going to have half the military or a third of the military or whatever dressed as women. I don't know. It's just utter chaos. The whole thing is way back when Clinton was president. Didn't he pass the don't ask, don't tell rules? And then they abolished that. So now you can wear a dress and heels and stuff, even though you got a beard. You're allowed to do that now. So Klinger won. From MASH. I remember every week he's dressed up in heels and pantyhose and stuff, trying to get kicked out of the military. But now they want you in there. They want you to wear a tutu and whatever else. You can look whatever way you want. And as long as you can hold that machine gun and go fight the bad guys, you can wear tutu and heels if you want, I guess. But it's sad. So us watching this movie just made us realize that, this guy saw this stuff, wrote this script, wanted to see this movie come to life because he was sick and tired of some bullshit and nobody was doing anything about it. But guess what? We're just 10 times worse now than we were in 1999. Now it's our own government doing it to us, not just some thugs in the streets. Sad, huh? I'm sorry I depressed everyone now.
Nope, you're good.
But,
and if you guys are still interested, hold on, let me go grab a sample.
Well, I give this movie a solid 8, and I would have rated it higher if it hadn't been such a bad job of editing, because I really do. I don't think that the angles of the camera were bad. I thought the different shots were kind of entertaining, and plus I like to try to see it the way I try to view it and absorb it the way that I think the director is trying to show us the story. I tried to envision it that way, but the choppiness of a lot of the actual editing to me is what really took me out of the scenes where you were supposed to be drawn in, and I was going back because it was like, why'd they do that? Why did they cut it up this way? So that is one reason why I took the points down, because the acting was not the reason. I thought Sean Patrick Flannery, I thought Norman Reedus did an excellent job for their characters, considering what they went through. I thought the stunt people that helped them perform their stunts and make them look like they got the shit beat out of them. I thought the people that did all the prop work with the squibs and everything for the all the bullet holes and things like that, just all that different stuff like that, I thought was phenomenal. I thought they did a really good job considering they had not a big budget. I mean, it was really low budget if you think about it being in 1999. So all those aspects of the movie, it would have been way better if the editing would have been better to me. So that's why I'm giving it a solid 8. Go ahead, Bruce. Are you there? Oh, I don't know where he went. He disappeared. He brought his Morning Reaper medium roast coffee and laid it in the screen.
I had to swallow my pills. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. No, I was worried. I didn't know whether you went to go lay down or what,
I probably should at some point. Not that the foot's in bad shape. It's a lot better than what it was. The Coffee Hunter blend, if you like a superb, rich, dark blend, that's a good blend. But this is said foot now. It looks like I need to lay down for a little bit, but I will here shortly. I need to say that this movie for me rates probably about a 75.
Mm-hmm.
75 is a fair number for me. I think it could have been a lot better film. It could have been a much better. This could be a movie that would be equal to The Professional at the very least in terms of like critical acclaim. But it's just a film that needs to have a little bit more love done to it on the back end. And that's not a horrible criticism. There was a lot of love given to it in front of the camera. Unfortunately, I think the Weinsteins did the same thing to this movie that
yeah.
that
I don't know
MGM
why.
did.
Something happened between him and the writer. I don't know what it was. Maybe he said something to him about his groping and pushing himself around on people when he was drunk. Something like that, a slip of the tongue or something that Weinstein took as a personal attack. And he said, "Fuck him. I'm gonna fuck this guy over, and he's not gonna work." Or he's gonna have a hard time getting actors. He's gonna have a hard time getting anybody to work on his movies. So, but because he wrote such a good script, and I think he really did a good job at what he saw and in the characters and everything to put this movie together, that kept him from completely becoming a flop because of Weinstein's hands. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? But I really do believe that. And I didn't even know Weinstein was even involved in this movie until after, because I saw it. This is the second time I saw it. But after this today, I started researching and looking stuff up, and I was like, wow, this is some juicy stuff. And I thought that looked like Ron Jeremy, but I didn't know for sure. And when I found out he gave that gift, I wonder if he still has it. I mean, who wouldn't? You'd want him to autograph it and everything, keep it, because it's one of a kind, right?
You're never going to get another chance to have a big cock from Ron Jeremy's mold. I'm just saying.
No, I know, but I just thought it was so funny when I found that. I just could not believe it. So it's really good stuff. If you just dig around, you can find some good stuff.
And I really got to thank Mac Thompson for that rosary, because every time I have a bad thought, I look over at that rosary and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta do something. I'm not even Catholic, but like it's just a good visual reminder for my morality. Like I probably should be a little bit more endeavoring to see Christ after the hereafter starts for me. I probably should not be a dick.
I'll take a picture of a cross that I have hanging in my car on my mirror, and I this is like my 5th car, because I don't like this one wasn't new either when I bought it, but it's a cross, and it's made out of horseshoe nails. It's really, really pretty. But my grandfather used to shoe horses for a living. So when I found it, I bought it because I just thought it was beautiful. And it's on a red silk rope, twine. And I have that hanging in my car. And it's I just like it. And I'm not a Catholic either. But I just think it's nice. I just thought it just reminds me of my grandparents when I look at it. So I'm very sentimental about that kind of stuff. But
I had a giveaway last week, and I had some friends, some people have joined up with the membership. So I'm like, I got to scratch her back. I got to do something for them. Or you don't have to, but I just felt better after I had done that, because it's just something with, I think, how we're wired. We want to receive, yes, but it's better to give than receive. And so I had that, and I haven't felt as good as what I did that day. That's just something that I feel like, if you have the opportunity at some point in the future, if you have quote unquote plenty, if you have enough of something, and you do some way of charity or some way of like giving like that, I recommend anybody that's just having a shit day, don't go out and buy yourself something new. Don't go out there and give something that means something to you, and just donate it or give it to somebody, because there's not many opportunities that we have in our life to be, truly humble or be truly, in a position to do that. And, as much as it would be nice to be quote unquote super awesome, I'm Mr. Beast Part 2 or whatever, I'm pretty happy with the 1,100 people or so that are hanging out and doing things with us here, because I don't think I would function well if I was like Mr. Beast. I think I would probably be on the wrong side of a lot of things. I think that was like one of the best days I've had. Saturday was awesome, even though I should have been on my back more than what I did. And I was struggling with fatigue that day. Flavy caught it, and I was trying to pay attention, trying to make sure I was hearing everything right and taking notes throughout all of it while we were running a game. But I was off camera for the majority of it, and I want to make sure that I heal my foot, of course. But man, it was that was a rough day as a DM,
Well, I can tell you something. If you're standing up at a table or at a cash register or whatever, you put a chair behind you and put your foot up behind you. Bend your knee backward, put your foot up, and it's still elevated up. And then you just roll the chair around with you. I did that because remember I was a florist for a few years, and I ended up having to have surgery. Bunion surgery, where your toe starts to turn in on the other toes, and it was excruciating pain. So I was able to get in and get that fixed, and they could basically cut your toe completely off, and then they shave it all down and straighten it back out, and then move the tendons down to where your toe doesn't pull over as far. And man, I tell you, I'm so glad I had it, but I had to do that for 6 weeks. So I just kept a chair behind me and dragged it around because I wasn't supposed to be on my foot, but I couldn't help it. After 4 days, I had to go back to work. So I did, and it throbbed and everything, but that's what I did. So if you could do that while you're at home, and you can lift your computer monitor up to where you can stand up, you can put your foot up that way, or sit down and put your foot up while you're sitting at the desk.
I don't know if you've seen how my setup is.
Not really. I've seen little bits of it, but I don't really know. See, can't you prop your foot up underneath the desk?
I can, but it's not super high. I've got a little box there. I'd rather not lift it up on that. The idea of standing up and working like that sounds a lot better than trying to.
That's what I did, because I had to make floral arrangements, so I had to stand. So I just put my foot up behind me, and it felt natural after a little while, but it really helped. It didn't hurt, didn't throb. So that might help if you want to do that. If you don't mind standing.
Don't worry, Flatey. I will rest. From now on, I'll be taking a lot better care of myself, because I realized some things over the past few days, and I'm not a young man anymore. I'm pushing 50, and really, really having a hard time saying that. I don't like saying that at all. Six Nation says we had Toys for Tots Needy Families. 2012 was one of the best Christmases when we gave our gifts to a family that lost everything. The best part was actually meeting them, which doesn't happen normally.
Mm-hmm.
And Mac is like trying to ascertain eating them. No. He skipped on the M, but his family met their family. Anyway, this movie is for me a 75. I think that's a pretty fair rating for it. This could have been a lot better. I don't see an issue with this film in the long run. I'd like to see part 3 if Troy is still willing to take some of that dynamite, that lightning in a bottle that he had. It's 20 years after, though, and they just started work on it last May. So I don't know if we're going to get the same output with this movie as we did with the first. I'm kind of fearful, because the second movie is okay. It's not as good.
Yeah, I haven't seen the second one.
Well, name it if you're available during the week or weekend during the holidays, Janet, and I'm available, we'll watch it together. I've got the ability to let you peek in and check it out, and I'll put it out there in the Discord for those of you that follow us there. That's a good place to hang out. There are some, there might be elements in there that you guys quote unquote don't appreciate. You can always mute them, even if it's me. But I think our Discord's filled with some good people. Janet's got a Discord as well, and I do recommend being at least part of one of our two communities, if not both altogether. This is the part where we say the next movie we discuss, and the next movie we are still trying to find a source on this film, because it's just new to digital, and that would be the movie Nefarious, which is the final 4 of the Sean Patrick Flannery Festival, which Janet had set up for us for the month of November. I'm looking forward to this movie because it looks like it might be interesting, and I'll just kind of share with you as to why. I've not seen it either. Let me explain as to why I am even talking about this, because this movie looks kind of interesting for the fact that we have Sean Patrick Flannery in this Nefarious movie, It's not got the worst rating in the world. 6.4 is still really watchable. I've watched
Mhm.
some 5s and 4s in my time.
Yeah, but did you look it up on Rotten Tomatoes?
No, I haven't. And Rotten
Okay.
Tomatoes is a smear site, in my opinion.
Well, I know, but the rating is better usually on there, a more believable rating ratio than on IMDb, because the more people like you and me actually rate it on the tomatoes compared to IMDb. So that's why I usually look there for the actual rating of where it might actually be, whether it's decent or not.
32% for critics, 96% for audience.
Okay, so the audience liked it a lot more. That's usually where I don't usually always get my information from Rotten Tomatoes, but the actual audience, like people like us that watch, that's where I usually go get my ratings, because it's always more accurate than IMDb or any of the other ones. To me, it has always worked out. Like, what was the name of that one? The guy that played, oh, I can't remember his name right now. He ran over himself recently this last year with his like snow something.
Oh, you're talking about Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, Jeremy Renner was in a movie, Winner or Wind, something about him being a ranger on a Indian reservation movie.
Okay.
Okay, it was a movie that he made, and there was a real pretty blonde played the FBI agent that was in. It was really, really good. Wind Creek or Wind River or something like that. Really, really good. And the ratings were really bad for it on IMDb, but when I went to Tomatoes, the audience rating was really high. So I was like, well, I'm going to give it a shot and watch it, and it was damn good. So I just trust the tomato rating better by people like you and me than I do on IMDb.
Well, a lot of times when I go see a film, I don't really worry about the critics' opinion of it anyway. I mean, there's been a few movies I've seen in theaters lately that have sucked, and I've actually stopped. I've not
What
seen a movie in
movies?
theaters since I had a chance to go see Top Gun Maverick at the Dollar Cinema, and I went and saw that. But that's like the last movie I saw, because I wanted to see Keanu Reeves in John Wick 4, but that was available digitally. So I'm like, fuck, I'll just wear pajamas and see it. And not pajamas, but I wear shorts all the time. And
Mhm.
this city here, like, I love San Antonio, but you wear shorts out all the time, and people are like, that person's weird, or that
Yeah,
person's not
see,
from here.
grumpy old ninja agrees with me. Wind River was really, really good, and it didn't get a very good rating on IMDb. So it just, I don't know. I don't know who does that or who's doing that or whether it's manipulated. But it's so funny that when the highfalutin people that absolutely think that you and I hate all these, like the Marvels, the Miss Marvels movie or whatever, I guarantee on IMDb it's got a high rating. I would
Well,
like to avoid that.
I don't worry about it because I know the story of Carol Danvers, and it's pretty unimpressive. And I also know the story of Monica Rambeau, which Marvel has fucked up so bad. The only way they will ever have me, a straight white male, in their fucking house again to watch and pay for a movie that they produce is for them to take the story of Monica Rambeau from the comics, use the comics as storyboards, and not alter it at all. And I'm talking about the one where she goes to her dad and she's unsure of herself. She's a fucking superhero. She's really good at what she does, but she
Mhm.
goes to her father with doubt in her heart and regret for maybe things she might have messed up between her and her dad's relationship. And her
Mhm.
daddy takes her by the shoulder and he's like, I've always been very proud of you. I've always been proud of you. Even if you and I might not be agreeable on things, you are still my daughter and I still love you no matter what. What you've done lately, what you've done to do things and try to help others around you, you've made me excessively proud of your abilities. And I don't think there's a better father, a happier father on the planet than myself when it comes to how they feel about their daughter. I love you. And I wish I could have given you the life of having a happy two-parent family, but I was dealt what we had, and I did my best with you, and I pray it's enough. We'll never get that movie. We'll never have the fucking Marvels give us the story of Monica Rambeau, where you have a single black father telling his daughter that he hoped he gave her enough and he loves her very much. We'll never get that. But Disney, if you want my dollar, you'll make that movie. And until you want that dollar, you're going to continue making the movies you make. Enjoy your grave, bitch. And that's just how I fucking feel.
Me
You
too.
know?
Exactly the same way. There's nothing wrong with family movies. There's nothing wrong with a daughter that loves her dad. I mean, I'm one of them. I was born and raised tomboy. I absolutely adored my dad. I did everything with my dad, but I loved my mom. She taught me how to crochet and do a lot of things, but I had a really close relationship with my dad. And I just think it's wrong. I don't know why they seem to just keep doing the same shit over and over again, thinking that people are going to just lap it up like lapdogs, because we're not. We're just not going to pay for that shit because it's not real. It's not reality. Everybody's not gay. Everybody's not a lesbian. Everybody's not bisexual. Everybody's not a transsexual. Everybody's not all these things that they keep trying to tell you. And everybody doesn't hate their dad or hate their parents, or they didn't all get beat by their parents. I mean, it's just, we're tired of that. We just want to hear some good stories. And it's good because there are some independent movie studios and stuff coming out now that are doing more family oriented and stuff like that. It's harder for them to get good scripts and things like that than it is these other ones, because a lot of people are thinking, well, I want to sell it to the highest bidder, or, I'm not going to do it if I don't get this, that kind of stuff. So, and that hurts. It hurts, when I'm tired of seeing, what was it? Triple X or whatever, that series 17, when are they going to start looking at some new scripts, start looking at some new screenplays from new young up and coming writers, instead of remaking the same movies over and over and over. I'm just sick of it. I'm just worn out. I want some new talent in there, but they don't want to pay. See, they don't want to share, because a writer that writes a screenplay that gets their name as big as the director up on the little thing when it goes by on the credits, and a lot of people don't want to share that. They just say, well, we'll buy the script from them for $5,000, then we'll rewrite it a little bit, add a few things that we like, and then we'll put our name on it. See, that's what you get. That's why you're having an actor strike stops Hollywood, but a writer strike, they don't care. They just go on and go to the college and say, hey, we need some good writers. We'll give you guys this, that, and the other if you come join us, and then take them. But those writers write what they're told. You don't get a person that sat down, like the woman that wrote Harry Potter books. Okay. Mm-hmm. She wasn't rich. She just had this idea, started writing it down, but she couldn't get anybody to wanted it. It's the guy that wrote the Dallas Buyers Club. Yeah. Okay, the person who wrote that script, took him years and years to get anyone from Hollywood to even look at it, and it won an Academy Award. So it's just sad, because it's so. If I had money, that's what I would do. I would somehow try to figure out a networking system that works with young up and coming writers and helping them get it read by people. Giving it out to the actor. If you can get the actors to read your scripts, like that one I was telling you about, Mr. Brooks. Remember that one with William Hurt and
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner. Okay. He read that script and loved it, thought it was great, and he really wanted to do it. So when you have an actor that has some means and they actually like your script, they're going to work hard, just like this Duffy script. Everybody loved it. They wanted to see Boondock Saints made into a movie because they thought it was a great script, had a good story, had excitement. They all wanted to star in it because they thought it was going to be the next blockbuster movie, because that's what, and who better to judge it than an actor that's been in a lot of movies, right? So if you can get an actor to read your script and they really love it and they want to see it made, you're going to have more people getting to look at your script and have a better chance of getting it out there. Or you can be like the guy that wrote the Santa Claus script, or the person that wrote it. They were offered a certain amount of money and they sold it for like $5,000 or whatever, and now it made millions and millions of dollars off of the three. I think it was three, the Santa Claus movie screen stuff, and it was just redone. The story though wasn't theirs. They purchased it because someone else wrote it and it was good, and they knew it would be a hit, and they made a bank off of it. And the writer got no name recognition and just a few bucks because they needed to pay their bills or whatever, and that's sad. And now they got AI now, so I just say, hey, we want to write a script about this guy that does this, that, and the other, blah blah blah, and put some sex in there and put this, that, and the other, and write it. And then you got a machine that's going to say, print it out for you. And so they don't need writers anymore, but I don't know how that's going to affect it. But, it was already getting worse and worse because they didn't want new writers. So when you get a good script like the one we just saw with this story, this came from someone's head with passion behind it, a real feel for wanting to see people punished that are bad, make them repent or whatever, clean up your city. So it makes it safe to walk down the street, just like Death Wish or any of these other ones. There's the passion behind it, which you're not going to get if you start having AI. You just tell it, hey, I want a script about two kids and they find a gingerbread house in the middle of the woods and whatever, that's what you're going to get. It's going to be a story written by a computer from a few words that someone told it. And we'll see how good those turn out. I don't think they'll be very good because I think some of the stories that we're getting right now are stories like that.
I agree. I completely agree.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
So next movie we see is so far on the docket. I mean, haven't secured the right to it yet, but we're looking at getting Nefarious for Sunday. And
I think we can get it off of Rumble.
Say again?
I think we can get to watch the movie off of Rumble.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. There was a couple Christian groups or whatever. I can't remember the person that told me about it, but it was being given out. Like, you remember the Sound of Freedom? They were giving away free tickets for it and free views and all that stuff because they wanted people to spread it. And I think they were doing the same thing with Nefarious on Rumble. Because 4 or 5 people I know that watched it on Rumble. So I'll ask around and try to find out who to get.
I've got a couple. I don't know. Let me check something here real quick.
Okay. But I heard it was really good. So
I think I have the whole movie on Rumble.
Yay.
And so I'm going to copy that and put that in chat.
Okay. But the one thing I was going to make a comment about, remember when I said I thought Norman Reedus was so young in the movie? Now, I probably would have said the same thing, but remember the week before we saw Powder, and I got to see a young Patrick Flannery in that. So that I think that's one reason why I wasn't so surprised about how young he was in this other movie too. But he's into jiu-jitsu. I think he's a teacher of that, and he's like a black belt.
Yeah.
So he's in pretty good shape. I mean, I don't know how old he is, but he's in pretty good shape.
Let me find it real quick. And it's kind of funny because Norman Reedus is about 3 years younger than Flannery. Flannery's born in 65. October 11th, 65.
Mm-hmm.
So he's almost 10 years, a little bit older than me by 10 years, but he's pushing 60. But this movie looks pretty damn good. I just pulled up the entire film and shared it out to our chat.
Oh, Grumpy Old Ninja said that Nefarious was good. So I've heard it was really good. And the people that told me are people that have told me about other movies that I ended up watching, and they were good. And I also think it is also an independent movie too, made by a separate entity.
It's an movie written by a Christian.
Well, the thing is, I told you, I like Lars and the Real Girl, and some of the other ones I know you didn't like, but they're independent movies, and I'm very adamant that we need better scripts, like that one that I was Mr. Brooks, and there's a few others that are separate. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. It just means they're not going to be fluffed up, by these big production companies because they don't have the money, but it doesn't mean it's not a good story.
I've got somebody at the door real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. But yeah, anyone who wants to watch it with us, if we get a chance to watch it, we'll try to figure out where we're going to watch it. You see, I don't know whether we're going to watch it on Rumble or we're going to be able to watch it on our Discord or not. So we'll have to figure that out. But we always encourage anyone who wants to come watch it with us to please come watch it with us, and we talk about it afterward, what we liked, what we didn't, things that we were unexpected, we didn't think were going to happen, and things like that. So it's great to have you guys join us if you want. But we don't do it in my Discord; it's in Bruce's. So if you want to join us, come on in, and I think he'll put a link out for everyone. But thank you guys for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it, and hope we didn't bore you too much. But I thought this movie was really good. I wish it could have been better, but we didn't make it. We're just watching it and getting our jollies up, getting to be entertained. So yeah, Mr. Brooks was creepy. Yeah, it was pretty freaky, but the story was great. And the fact that you get to see it from the point of view as a person who has a split personality, just like what was it, Brad Pitt in the Fight Club. That was really good too, and it was kind of creepy. But the thing is, he's fighting with himself. They're like buds, but they argue, they don't get along. It's the same thing with Mr. Brooks. When Mr. Brooks is driving, going to the places he wants to, thinking he's gonna, kill someone, and he looks in the rearview mirror, and who's sitting in the back seat? His other personality, and he's telling him, "Yeah, that's gonna be a fun one." Things like that. It's really good. It's very well made. It's good acting in it too. So that's another movie that I recommend people watch if they haven't seen it, because it's a very entertaining, and it's a totally different perspective on someone who's a serial killer and how he's married and has a family of his own, and how he deals with things on a daily basis and runs his business. Because you got to remember, lots of people say that if you're a serial killer, that there's no way you can live a normal life, be a dad. But what are we finding out now? Golden State Killer. And then what was it? The Green River Killer. All these people, they had families. BTK, he had 2 kids and a wife, and he was a dog catcher. Okay. So, and he was also an elder in his church. So just because you say you're a Christian and you go to church every Sunday and you're active in your church does not mean you're not a killer. So that's why I'm saying you can't judge another person. You don't know what they're doing in their life. Just because they're smiling at you and they're acting like, "Oh, I'm your best friend," it's scary to think about what kind of person they really could be. And that's real life. So it's scary. Yeah, it was a very well written, very good movie. I can see why Kevin Costner wanted to see it come to life after he read the script. And Demi Moore was phenomenal in that movie. She did a really good job at playing that detective. And, with shit going on in her life, but she wanted to catch this guy so bad because she just wanted to prove that this guy couldn't get away with it. She just wanted to see this guy pay for murdering these people. And she did good. She did a very good job. Yeah, my sister was into those true crime novels. She always had one. She was always reading not novels, but they were like magazines or something, True Detective or something like that. And then one of my best friends, she was reading all those romance novels, the little cheapy paperbacks. Ugh, I can't stand it. I never liked any of that stuff. I was never into romantic movies, or I don't know, some of the ones that my sisters were into. I just never really liked it. I liked kung fu and like John Wick movies and things like that. That's what I was normally into. So it wasn't I wasn't too much into these romance movies like some of these others, like Moonstruck. Mask wasn't too bad, but to me, it wasn't so much of a romance as some of these others. I'm just reading some of the things that people are writing in the
In the
chat.
chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But doesn't
really,
it look good? See, Six Nations even thinks that Nefarious looks like it would be really good. I
yeah,
really wish a bunch of you could take some time off on Sunday and try to come and join us and watch the movie with us. There's plenty of
we're going
room
to
for
watch this movie on Sunday, and it looks kind of interesting. The
I've
very
seen
end
it
of the film,
times.
it looks like the very end of the film, uh, like the very end, like we have almost a conversation on the blaze.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Glenn Beck is talking on the blaze, the very end of the movie, and it looks I mean, he's got fourth billing according to according to IMDb here. He's a big part of the show, it looks like. But I'm looking forward to this, and this movie looks really good.
Yeah, and I haven't seen it, and neither has Bruce. So if you haven't seen it and you get to watch it with us, we're all going to get to experience something new that none of us has been involved in. So that would be really cool. Have we gotten to watch a movie together that we neither one have seen yet?
A couple.
Oh, I'm trying to
There's been a
remember which
couple
ones
that
it
we've
was.
watched.
Oh, it was the Dracula one. That was
Yeah.
one.
Blood of Dracula.
Yeah, the Blood of Dracula, and it was something else, but I can't remember what it was either. But most of the time, it's either me that hasn't seen it or it's Bruce that hasn't seen it. So we get to watch it, watch the other one watch something for the first time.
It is at the end of our stream, and I gotta say that I am a happy individual. Looks like, yeah, Becca's only at the end of the film, says Mac Thompson. Yeah, I was scrubbing through the movie and I saw that. I'm not watching it beforehand, but I think this movie that we're going to be watching, Nefarious, is going to probably put a nice bow on the end of the Sean Patrick Flannery watching situation, because the first movie we started with was Powder. We went chronologically with his film acting career.
Yeah, with his age. Yeah,
Yeah.
as he was young, his first movie, and we wanted to go through that way.
Yeah, and that was an interesting way to do it. We came off of October, you know, we did that wonderful Fright Night movie because we had some stinkers in October, and Fright Night put us back on the path of purity, and you know, like movies that are proper, movies that you actually go out and want to see on the big screen, because that had some great practical effects in it. It was just almost the perfect Halloween film, just about. But
yeah, it's good.
I got to say that we watched that, and Powder was just like, ugh.
I love Powder, so you know you could say you didn't like it, but I liked it. But I was young when I watched it.
Yeah,
you
you were young.
So
if I would have watched that movie when I was young, it would have been completely different.
Yeah, remember we both watched The Cowboy Way. We were younger when we watched it, and it was a totally different movie when we watched it when we were grown-ups.
Yeah.
It was like, what the? Why did I like this so much?
Yeah.
That's the difference between. That's why some movies are targeted towards teenagers, and others are not. So
you know, this movie that guy. I think the majority of my problem is the director, the writer of Powder. I think if it was written by a competent person, if it would have been directed by a competent person, I would have liked it a lot more. I hated the ending. I despised just how the kid's running along, screaming, and the music swells, and then like he just disappears. Like, really?
Yeah, he was rushed. I'm telling you, it was rushed. It was like the guy just wanted to hurry and get to the end. That's it. It was like for some reason all he wanted was to get us to the end of the movie, and he pushed you into it. That's how I felt.
Shoved the movie to the end, and that was like.
And I didn't like the ending either, because all I wanted him to get in the car and one day have a girlfriend. It would have been great to have seen it. The ending of him walking hand in hand with his wife and have a couple kids, and one of them would have been an albino or something. That would have been adorable. I would have loved that, but didn't get that. He just became pure energy, something.
And I like the thought of that, but the execution was just like being pushed along and being shoved
Yeah.
into the ending was just.
That is exactly right. That's exactly how I felt. But the premise of the movie was good, and
I
there were
think
lots of good things about it. But
no,
yeah,
I like 7 minutes of the movie, and that's what I'm sticking to that. Like the part
I know.
where Lance
I was
Henriksen's
crying
wife
at the
is
very
dying.
beginning. I was already crying when the baby was crying in his crib because my
That
heart was already broken.
that's almost not even fair because it's tugging on your ovaries,
I
and like
know it
you
sucks.
you
I wish you guys could find out what
that
that was
told me you
like.
should have had more kids.
That's what it does. It does. It makes you just want to grab that baby and pick it up and hold it and love it and tell it it's going to be okay. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do, isn't it?
Boobs. Sorry. Sorry. I'm remembering a happier time when I was
I know,
grabbing
but that's what I'm saying though.
pressed
That
against
that
the
whole
bosom.
scene just made me just want to grab the baby and hold it,
Yeah.
and want to give it the love that it lost because its mom died. It's a heartbreaker from the very beginning. So I was sucked right in. That was, that's just,
Yeah.
but
It had
how
an
boring
interesting.
would it be, Bruce, if you and I agreed on every single detail of all these movies? It would be
Terrible.
boring.
Boring as hell.
Like me, that one movie, the Terror Train movie. I love the kick-ass scene in the train with the woman. Was it
There's
Terror Train? What was the name of it? Meat Train.
Midnight Meat Train.
So,
There's that movie had so much promise, and I on further viewing, like I haven't watched that movie since the week that we reviewed it because I watched it again after I heard you complain about it, and like I saw your complaints. I'm like, fuck.
I
And I
know it
still
ruins
do
it,
it.
doesn't it? See, that's why I said that's why I try not to read anything or look up anything. If somebody says, "Hey, you go watch this movie; it's really good," and then I go and I look at the rating of it, I don't read about it. I just look at the rating, and it's really high on the audience, and I say, "Okay, I'm going to check this movie out. I'll go for it." But then after I watch it, then I go back and I start looking into it, and because it ruins the movie, just like when I was telling you about wanting to go see the Dungeons and Dragons movie. I went and saw it as a kid that's new playing DD. I'm excited. I went and I saw it and I was enveloped with it because of the stuff they were doing in it that I get to do in a game. I just loved it. I just thought it was phenomenal. I dragged my sister and I loved the movie and I still would go see it again simply because that's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it through a whole different set of eyes. I wasn't thinking about who made this storyline or who's the director was or any of this stuff. I was just looking at it simply for what the movie was about, and I loved it, and I loved every minute of it.
I can appreciate that as somebody who's played the game for years and watched Hasbro fucking destroy. They've torpedoed the D&D name worse than Disney has destroyed the Star Wars license. Okay, I want you to understand that. Like
I do understand, but I don't want to ruin it for me because I just love the thought of actually, like I said, if you and I could write a story and then go into a ginormous stadium that's set up like they had in that movie and get to play an actual Dungeons and Dragons game for real inside of a giant stadium, that would be so much fun.
I just want you to understand that I might be in character for you, but I'm all the characters for you.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, the thing is,
dungeon master,
wouldn't it be
so I
fun
have to work.
to do that? And you
Yeah,
have
it
to
would be
play the
great.
game and be dressed up and pretend like the movies, the two movies you got me to watch, the gamers movies.
Yeah.
How they got to be their character in costume and run around through the woods and whatever else. Oh my God, that would be so much fun. I would love it.
I'm not a person that's with it because if I was with it, I would be probably somewhere located in Indianapolis working for True Dungeon, so I could run some signature events every year at Gen Con. And now they're starting to do stuff at Southern California's Gen Con, but the scale of it is freaking huge. It's like what you're describing. It's a real life D&D escape room, And True Adventures is a thing that
I love
happens.
escape rooms. Have you ever done a real escape room?
No, I've
Oh,
driven people out of them. I've driven people to them, but I've never participated in that
oh,
self.
you need to. You need to take your wife and get a couple of your friends and go try one. You will love it. And just do the, just do the low level one.
Okay.
Just kind of get the feel for it. I think you will really, really like it. I mean, I really do. I did one with Bigfoot. It's a Bigfoot adventure. I've done one with an alien abduction one. I did one Escape from Alcatraz. I've done quite a few different ones, and they are fun. As long as you get a good group of people that like solving puzzles and things like that, and you go in and you just go to town. You run around and try to solve all these things and put them all together to answer the story before your time runs out. And it's fun. I mean, we had a zombie. It was on a chain. It had a chain around its neck, and the person dressed up as a zombie. And they were at the corner of the room, and there's all this stuff in a laboratory. And we had to find stuff, and answer the things to open the next box to go to the next one. And some of them were right next to the zombie, but we had to answer these other ones before we could open the box on that one. So we're rushing around, and each like every 5-10 minutes you hear alarm going off, and then the chain would get a little longer so we could get out farther. And inside some of the boxes was like brains that you'd hand to the zombie or throw them at them, and they would eat them. So that would keep them busy, so you could really run over there and do certain things. It was just a lot of fun. It's very interactive. I recommend everybody, if you've never tried an escape room, just to try one time with someone in your family or your friends and stuff. It's just really fun. I wish more people would do stuff like that, play board games or cards, poker, all that different stuff, dominoes, and stuff, instead of sitting in front of a computer playing video games all day by
I mean,
yourself.
there's nothing wrong with the computer games all day, but
No,
all day, reduce that to 2
played Goat
hours.
Simulator for 8 hours. I know exactly what you're talking about. But what I'm trying to say is, if you could
Yeah.
take one day a week and go and spend it outside your house with your friends and your family somewhere else, bowling, doing something else where you're interacting with other people and looking them in the eye and laughing and having a relationship with people, away from your electronics. I think that's good for people. I think it's good for our souls.
I think
Good
being
for
away
us.
from electronics is something that Americans are going to have to start doing more and more, because we're seeing more and more psychoses pop up. We're seeing more people that don't understand the difference between role play and real life. I mean,
But
for
see,
fuck's sake, we've
that's
got
what's good about what we're doing right now. Right
yeah.
now,
Well,
what we're doing, we're actually discussing something. We're online, but we're not just zombies watching something and absorbing something. We are
correct.
interacting. Even the chat is interacting. They're reading, listening, talking to each other in the chat and to us. See? So that's interaction still. I'm
Yeah.
talking about someone who just sits with a controller. No, I've done that. I've played Lego Batman for 6 hours straight. So we all could do it. It's just not good to do it every day. It's just not good for you. You need to be with other people. And be
I think I should put your link in the chat here before I let this valuable moment pass by, because we probably should see more Janet. No offense, we probably should have Janet doing more and more games. And
yeah,
not
you
that
guys
games
would
are bad.
absolutely have a heart attack if you ever watched me play Goat Simulator, because I laugh through the whole thing. How can anyone play that game and not laugh? I laugh because the goat is hilarious, and it's just fun. It's just a lot of fun, and you don't have to worry about any guns or anything. You headbutt a giant rocket, like one of those 4th of July rockets, and it takes you up in the air somewhere and explodes and drops you, and then you're someplace else in the park. So it's a lot of fun. I like it.
I do too. Like I said earlier this week, yesterday we celebrated the 25th anniversary of one of the greatest video games ever to come out, and that's Half-Life. I believe, I don't know if it's still going on, but I believe that Steam had it available for free. And if you downloaded it, good on you. It's a fantastic game. If you don't have it, I'm sorry, but it's one of those games that everybody I know that plays games everyone has played Half-Life, and it's a monument to good narration, amazing amazing environmental storytelling, and it's one of those games that you see, and it's not so pretty now, but it does very good for what it is. And I feel like I need to just, there are things that you guys may or may not do that you might not enjoy, but right now Half-Life is available for $1.
I've never played it.
It was free
Uh-huh.
up until like 7 o'clock today. Now it's $1.
That's
But
still cheap.
Yeah, it's still cheap. And then they have the complete story where if you want, you can get the Opposing Force, which is the first expansion to it. And it's about 6 hours of play. Half-Life is about 8 hours of play. Then they have Blue Shift, where you play one of the Barneys, one of the Otis guys, and that's about another 2 hours. And these are all like $1 each. So if you like Half-Life, go check them out. But if you've never heard of it before, go watch it on YouTube. There's an amazing set of videos out there where people just play through it. Dario, one of the developers, just put up I believe one of the final videos for his playthrough, and he was one of the guys that helped design it. They had a video come out Friday where they had all the developers get together after 25 years because they've gone their separate ways, and it was kind of cool to see all those guys kind of hang out for a little bit. They weren't all together at once, but just to get their perspectives on what's changed and how their lives have been altered since then. That game should have never been made. That should have never been made, and it's. Yeah, there's parody films of it too. That game was made by people that were previously Microsoft employees. They said, I don't want to work for anybody else anymore. I want to do my own thing. And so they made a company called Valve. Valve came out and they hired a bunch of people that had day jobs. This is mid-96 when they started hiring all these level designers, environmental designers. And it was a fantastic way to get people to try and stretch something new. Mr. Hungar the Starvarian, he is a celebrity. He is in our chat right now, and I'm hoisting up one of the absolute finest miniatures I've ever seen come off of a.
Has he seen it before?
Oh yeah, he's been talking with the young lady that designed this, and my friend Chris printed this off for me. I wanted to get this one painted up first. We're working through the skin tones right now. Going to make you a storm giant, my friend. You're going to be a lightning bolt MF. you're going to be a lightning bolt guy. Probably.
Hey, I've already gotten eaten once, so
yeah,
and I died. Didn't make it.
I love this fig, Hungar. Nerd. There's a young lady named a Nerd's Nerd, and she is an absolute gem of a human being. She's done some really good work with this, and I can't wait to get this finished so you can see this whenever I'm done. This is one of the figs that a friend of mine brought over, and I'm probably going to get him a bottle of mead he likes because he at least deserves that. Thank you, Chris. Tonight we talked about the movie, the cult hit Boondock Saints. And we were going to watch the sequel to it, but instead we wanted to see the movie The Nefarious because it came out. We have secured a location to watch that from next Sunday. If you're not doing anything on Sunday, swing on by our Discord. Join.
Come watch it with us.
We're going to watch it together. If you don't have the time to do that, I'm just going to share this wonderful link for you all. And this is off of Rumble. And if you're not able to watch it now, that's fine. Go ahead and just throw this in your bookmarks and watch it as soon as you can. Everybody that has seen it in our chat says it's great. So it's an hour and 40 some odd minutes. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm looking forward to enjoying it. We're going to watch it all together on Sunday. If you're there, that's great. And then Monday night of next week, we will discuss this as the final Sean Patrick Flannery film and the Sean Patrick Flannery Film Festival, November 2023. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody who stopped by tonight. All of you, appreciate you all for being here. For those that are members, I want to give you a beer, or if you need a bar of soap, I'll just hand it to you. You know, here you go. Here's some soap. You'll be happy. This is a fantastic ability for us to get together and just talk and share things. Sunday night, we were able to have our chat, get vocal with us after the film. If you want to watch the rest of season 5 of Futurama, I'll be starting at around 4 p.m. Looking forward to seeing everybody here then, and look forward to seeing Janet on her channel Friday night at 9:10 in the evening Central Standard Time for her infamous The Shit Show.
The Friday night shit show. Tell me on Friday.
You. I really hope you guys have a great week. This is the start of the week. There's everybody's got things going on right now. If somebody confides in you, they've got ills or problems, etc., give them a little bit of a benefit, especially if they're partial to you. If you're good friends, throw their name on high to the Almighty. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm. Good night.
Good night, everyone.